Chapter 20. Kill! Lu Li shouted and rushed forward with his saber. His target was still Dihua. He was so fast that in the time for a few breaths, he was already in front of Dihua. Lu Li swung his saber and cut at Dihua's head. Attack! Kill these two little bastards! The one-armed old man shouted angrily. He grabbed a steel saber from an old man next to him and took the lead to rush towards Lu Li. The Xian energy of Dihua and the others was in a mess. Due to their young age and lack of experience, they could not keep calm. Their combat ability was greatly reduced. If they did not make a move, nobody could suppress Lu Li. Clank, clank, clank. By the time the one-armed old man and the other three old men with relatively stronger combat abilities arrived, Lu Li had already cut for more than a dozen times. Dihua held up the shield with both of his hands and squatted down. Bang! However, after being cut by Lu Li for more than a dozen times, the shield could not stand it anymore. It split in the middle and was split into two. Dihua saw a flash of saber light. He was so scared that he rolled on the ground and barely dodged Lu Li's saber. The one-armed old man and the other three old men rushed forward. They were the patriarchs of the tribe. They were over 60 years old, the same generation as Lu Li's grandpa. Even though they had been stuck at the Xian Wu realm for their entire lives, their fighting experience could not be compared with Dihua and the others. Lu Li felt the pressure as soon as the four of them rushed towards him. The sky was full of saber light. He was almost hit several times. He had to retreat first. Otherwise, he would be easily injured if he was surrounded by the four of them. Once he was injured, his combat ability would be greatly reduced. Bang! Tian rushed out from the dirt wall. Lu Li happened to be retreating quickly. The distance between the two was not far. Lu Li turned around and rushed towards Tian. He swung his saber and cut at Tian. Tian was buried alive by the dirt wall. He was in a sorry state. There were bruises and blood stains on his head and body. Seeing Lu Li coming at him with his saber, Tian raised his saber out of instinct to block. Okay. Lu Li liked it when others blocked. He waved his saber and cut for 7 or 8 times in a row. The powerful force knocked away Tian's saber. He knelt on the ground. Tian watched helplessly as Lu Li cut at him with his saber. At the last moment, Lu Li was afraid to make a move, because if he did, Tian would be killed by him. A man should kill. Lu Li, kill Tian. Lu Ling shouted. A red glare flashed in Lu Li's eyes. He closed his eyes and swung his saber at Tian's head. Bang! The saber landed on Tian's neck. His head flew up. Blood gushed out and sprayed all over Lu Li's hands and body. Lu Li felt something wet in his hands. He opened his eyes and saw a headless body falling down slowly. Then, he saw Tian's head rolling on the ground. Lu Li trembled all over and almost threw up. Tian? The four old men who were rapidly approaching from afar roared in grief. The one-armed old man was even more furious. Tian was his grandnephew. Tian shouted into the sky, Lu Li, if I don't kill you today, I am not a man. Lu Li, don't just stand there. Otherwise we will die here today. Charge, Lu Ling shouted. Lu Li suppressed the urge to vomit and forced himself not to look at Tian's body. He looked at the four old men who were rushing towards him. Maybe it was because he had just killed a man, the hostility that had been hidden in Lu Li's body for years burst out. He trembled for a moment and then calmed down. Lu Ling's words reminded him that if he didn't win today, both sister and brother would die. Lu Li suddenly became very calm. There was only one thought in his mind, which was to kill all the enemies in his way. Old dog, if you want to kill me, let's see if you have the ability. Lu Li shouted in a deep voice. Instead of retreating, he moved forward. He jumped up and cut at the face of the one-armed old man who was at the front with his saber in his hands. Old dog, I will shoot you to death. Lu Ling shouted cooperatively. The one-armed old man looked at Lu Ling out of instinct, only to find that he was fooled. Lu Ling didn't even come close. Because of this look, he had lost the chance to dodge and fight back. Lu Li's saber was already in front of him. He had to lift his saber to block. Oh no, the three old men who were following closely said to themselves that things were not going well. The one-armed old man only had one hand. How could he stop Lu Li, who had more than 11,000 pounds of strength? Sure enough, Lu Li smashed the one-armed old man away with one move. His saber was knocked away, and there was a deep cut on his chest. His bones were visible. The one-armed old man might be experienced in fighting, but he was only at the Xian Wu realm. What was more, his Xian energy was disordered and his strength was reduced. He only had one hand. How could he stop Lu Li's full force? Fourth brother, the three old men shouted in surprise. They looked back with worry. Lu Li didn't stop. He raised his saber and cut at the nearest old man. Bang! Another old man was smashed away. This one was even worse. His shoulder was cut by Lu Li, and one of his arms was almost cut off. The other two old men looked at each other. They had to make up their minds and join hands. One on the left and the other on the right. Their sabers were like poisonous snakes, aiming at Lu Li's left and right arms respectively. Lu Li could not attend to one and lose sight of the other. Lu Li lifted his saber to block. The two old men cooperated well with each other and were experienced in fighting. Even though their Xian energy was disordered, their attacks were sharp. For several times, Lu Li was almost hit. He had to move back while blocking. Lu Li, I am going to kill you and avenge Di Tian. Dihua rushed over from the distance. Even though his Xian energy was disordered and his fighting capacity was greatly reduced, Lu Li was already having a hard time defending against the two old men's attacks. If Dihua joined the fray, it would be easy for the three to kill Lu Li. Lu Ling, who was behind Dihua, frowned. But she dared not to move. There were three young men in front of her with shields. Powerful as her crossbow arrows were, they could not penetrate the shield. If she didn't move, the three young men would not dare to do anything. But if she forced herself to help Lu Li, the three of them would not sit by and do nothing. Avenge Di Tian? On hearing this, Lu Li remembered how he smashed away the red phosphorus hawks with the ancient coffin during the beast upheaval. He suddenly made several moves and forced the two old men to step back. Then he jumped behind the collapsed dirt wall. Then, amidst the angry curses of countless people, Lu Li came back with one leg of Di Tian's body in one hand. He swung Di Tian's body around with one hand and swung his saber with the other. The two old men were dumbfounded. They were over 60 years old and had fought many fierce battles. It was the first time they saw such a way of fighting. Lu Li was using their grandnephew's body as a shield. How could they attack? Was Lu Li not afraid of being haunted by ghosts by desecrating the body? Lu Li was not afraid of this at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to carry coffins. Influenced by Lu Ling, he was not afraid of ghosts or gods. Now that he was about to be killed, how could he care so much? Bang! Dihua and the two old men dared not to attack randomly, but Lu Li did not care. He smashed one of the old men away and even cut off one of the old man's hands. That bloody hand danced in the air. Blood splashed all over Dihua's face. Taking advantage of Dihua's confusion, Lu Li cut his thigh with a backhand move. Dihua was so scared that he rolled away. The other old man did not dare to attack and quickly retreated. The situation was under Lu Li's control. Run! Seeing that Lu Li was rushing towards him with killing intent, Dihua was scared. He did not want to become a headless corpse like Di Tian. He roared, "Di Lu, get Lu Ling, or else we are all doomed." While Lu Li was looking back, Dihua limped away, disregarding the blood coming out from his thigh. He disappeared into the group of stone houses. Lu Li was furious, but he dared not to chase after him. There were so many stone houses. It would take some time to find Dihua. There were so many warriors here. What if Lu Ling was injured or killed? He saw Di Lu and the other two standing in front of Lu Ling, ready to make a move. Having no time to worry about the remaining old man, Dihua threw Di Tian's body away and ran towards Lu Ling. He shouted angrily, "F***ck off or die!" Because Lu Li was swinging Di Tian's body, he was covered in blood. On top of that, he had wounded several patriarchs in a row and killed Di Tian. In the eyes of Di Lu and the other patriarchs, Lu Li was a murderous demon. They dared not to act recklessly after Lu Li shouted at them. They hurriedly retreated to the sides. Lu Li rushed to Lu Ling and supported her with one hand. He glanced over to the nearby people and coldly said, "Sis, let's go. Let's see who dares to stand in our way." "Very well, let's go." Chapter 21. Diba took away all the adult warriors in the tribe, even the warriors in their 50s. After all, the more people that went, the more rewards they could get. Diba believed that there was no danger in guarding the perimeter of the ice abyss. Therefore, there were only some old, weak, women and disabled people left in the tribe. The most powerful ones were the one-armed old man and some young people brought back by Dihua, Di Tian and Di Han. At this moment Dihua escaped. Di Han was shot to death by Lu Ling, and Di Tian was beheaded by Lu Li. There was a wound on the chest of the one-armed old man that was so deep that his bones could be seen. This was not a big deal when he was young, but before he was over 60 years old, this injury could be fatal. There were 3 other old men. One was seriously injured, one had his arm cut off, and the last one was scared out of his wit. As for the more than a dozen young people like Di Lu, they did not even dare to move. All the warriors in the tribe were shocked by Lu Ling and Lu Li. Further away, many old maids and old ladies were scared out of their wits. These were all average ladies with no fighting capacity and no gut. Many people did not dare to look at them anymore. Only a few old maids were crying. Some older kids were so scared that they ran back to their own homes. Lu Li held the saber dripping with blood in one hand and his sister in the other. Lu Ling had a smile on her face. The life-seeking crossbow in her sleeve that was rolled up by Lu Li was ready to shoot at any time. She limped forward with the help of her crutch in her other hand. "Why are you crying?" The one-armed old man stood up while enduring the pain in his chest. He shouted at the old maids. The whole place quieted down. It was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Only the sound of Lu Li and his sister moving forward and the sound of blood dripping from Lu Li's saber could be heard. Soon, Lu Li reached in front of the one-armed old man. The other old men retreated to this side with their sabers in their hands, not far behind the one-armed old man. Lu Li stopped, pointed his saber at the one-armed old man and said, "Old dog, are you going to make way or not? What if I don't?" The one-armed old man was a tough guy. He stared at Lu Li angrily. He was not convinced. If it were not for the poison of the purple erosion grass, how could Lu Li, a loser who could not even cultivate Xian energy, hurt him? Today, Lu Li and Lu Ling went on a killing spree and dyed the Di-Long tribe with blood. If he let them go so easily, the one-armed old man would feel humiliated. The prestige he had built up in the tribe over the years would be gone. He was Diba's uncle. Since Diba was not in the tribe, he had become the leader of the tribe. If he retreated, Di Han and Di Tian would have died in vain. "If you don't, then die," Lu Li bellowed. He let go of Lu Ling's hand and dashed forward like a leopard. His eyes were bloodshot. Since he had already killed Di Tian, he did not mind killing a few more. Lu Ling said that the one-armed old man might be the murderer of her grandpa. Whether it was true or not, Lu Ling was almost raped and her leg was broken. She came back to seek justice from the one-armed old man. However, he was only given 10 golden leaves. This was unacceptable to Lu Li. Dihua's actions today were obviously instructed by a few people. This one-armed old man had wanted to kill him just now, and now he was blocking their way, so he was an enemy. When dealing with enemies, Lu Ling said that one must be cruel and merciless. These were the only words in Lu Li's mind at the moment. He rushed towards the one-armed old man. Streaks of dazzling sword light came out from his long saber and hacked at the one-armed old man. Clank, with a muffled sound of explosion, the one-armed old man was injured. His Xian energy was in a mess, so there was no way he could defend himself. His long saber was smashed away, and he was forced to step back. Lu Li's eyes were as cold as a beast's. He chased after the one-armed old man with his saber raised high, ready to hack at him at any moment. He stared at the one-armed old man and shouted, "Are you going to let me go or not?" The one-armed old man was indeed a tough guy. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "No, you bastard. Kill me if you have the guts. Ba is already the external clan patriarch of the Zhao family. When he comes back, you and your sister will be torn into pieces and your bodies will be left in the wild." "Go to hell!" Lu Li roared and hacked at the one-armed old man forcefully with his saber. The one-armed old man was smashed away for more than 30 feet. Blood gushed out from his chest. His chest and abdomen were cut open. Clearly, he could not survive. "Fourth brother!" The other old men, and those near the stone house all shouted in alarm and surrounded the one-armed old man. Lu Li looked back to Lu Ling and the latter went after him at once. Lu Li walked forward step by step with his blood-dripping saber in his hand. When he was about 10 feet away from the one-armed old man's body, he stopped again. Pointing his saber at the group of old men, he said, "You are all old. You don't have many more years to live. I don't want to kill any more people today. If you don't want to die, get out of my way." The 5 or 6 old men all turned around and looked at Lu Li with hatred and resentment in their eyes. However, none of them dared to say anything, let alone make a move. "I will take 10 steps forward. If you don't get out of my way, then don't blame me for being merciless." Lu Li walked forward step by step. The murderous intent in his eyes was getting more and more intense. At the 5th step, someone finally got scared. An old man took the lead and stepped to the side. With someone taking the lead, the others followed suit. Nobody wanted to die. Nobody was a match for Lu Li now. They could only wait for Ba to come back and get revenge. However, there was one old man who didn't step back. He was the one whose arm was cut off by Lu Li and was almost chopped off. He was the cousin of the one-armed old man. The one-armed old man was killed, so his eyes were filled with red light. Not only did he not step back, but he also rushed towards Lu Li with a roar. "Brother 7! Several old men shouted in alarm. Lu Li's eyes turned red and he rushed forward in rage. He swung his saber at the old man with a force of more than 11,000 pounds. How could the old man, who was already injured, defend himself? Bang! The old man was smashed away together with his saber. Half of his body was badly mutilated. Another one died. Who else? Lu Li swung his saber and glanced at the old men nearby with cold eyes. At this moment, he had completely turned into a killing maniac. He would kill anyone who dared to stand in his way. Everyone kept quiet out of fear. Nobody dared to stand out anymore. Some young men were so scared that their legs were trembling. They looked at Lu Li like he was a ghost. Lu Li led Lu Ling through the crowd with ease and walked towards the front gate of the tribe. As soon as they walked out of the tribe, they heard some curses coming from behind. "Lu Li, you are out of your mind. You will die a horrible death. You 2 bastards, when the chief comes back, he will tear you into pieces even if you run to the ends of the earth. Yes, send someone to the chief right now. We must cut this pair of unpardonable siblings into pieces. These 2 deserve to die 1,000 times." Waves of curses came along with some heart-wrenching cries of some old maids. Lu Li stopped with a frown. He looked back but said nothing. Lu Ling, on the other hand, glanced over the crowd and said in a cold voice, "We are going to the Wu Ling County. You can ask Ba to go to the Wu Ling County to seek revenge on us. My sister and I killed someone today. If your tribe can kill us, then it is your own capability. We will not complain." Also later, we will look into the death of my grandpa in detail. If it really has something to do with the tribe, I promise that none of the people involved will be spared. Also, take good care of our sixth granduncle. If anyone dares to vent his anger on him because of this, as long as my sister and I are alive, we will wipe out his entire family in the future. With that said, Lu Ling turned around and walked forward on her walking stick. Lu Li quickly helped her to leave. Once again, everyone felt cold. Before, they could take Lu Ling's words as a joke. But after today, nobody dared to look down on this girl, and that good-for-nothing Lu Li, who could not even cultivate Xian energy. As he watched the siblings leave, an old man shed tears and murmured with a face full of regret, "Today's calamity should have been fated to happen. We should not have treated them like this, and we should not have done the wrong thing. How can Lu Renhuang's children be good-for-nothings? Brother 11, what nonsense are you talking about?" Another elder scolded. "These two bastards are ungrateful. If it were up to me, we should have cut the weeds and wiped out the root. Otherwise, we would not have today's disaster. We have to inform the chief about this as soon as possible and go after the sister and brother immediately. Violence is not allowed in the Wuling County. Once they enter the county, there will be trouble." "What are you afraid of?" An elder snorted. "It is true that violence is not allowed in the Wuling County. This is the rule set by the Lu family. But it is different now. The Lu family has suffered a great change, and their strength has been greatly reduced. Now, the Zhao family can compete with the Lu family. Bar is the external clan patriarch of the Zhao family. Isn't it a piece of cake for him to kill the sister and brother?" "Yes, yes, yes." An elder nodded. Then he shouted to Di Lu and the others, "You bastards, what are you standing there for? Go and report to the chief now. Ask him to send someone to kill the two bastards." "Yes." Chapter 22. In the wilderness, Lu Li carried Lu Ling on his back and ran in strides. He didn't feel anything before, but now he felt cold. He had killed 3 people, and this was his first time killing someone. He felt a little dizzy. Lu Ling didn't try to comfort him. Every warrior had to go through this. Lu Li needed to resolve the knot in his heart by himself. As a matter of fact, even though Lu Ling had been acting calm, she was a delicate girl after all. It was hard for her to stay calm. The 2 siblings silently ran on the mountain path. The journey was indeed very safe. The 2 of them ran for more than 20 miles, but they did not encounter any profound beasts or wild beasts. "Let's take a break. There is a river over there. Go and change your clothes. Otherwise, how can we get to the Wuling County?" Lu Ling suddenly said. Lu Li came to his senses and ran towards the river. He put her down by the river and scrubbed his face with cold water. Lu Ling took out a clean robe from her bundle, handed it over and said softly, "Do you feel uncomfortable?" This was a necessary process on the path of martial art. This was how cruel it was in the northern desert. Once you step onto the path of martial arts, there is no turning back. Either you rise to the top or you die in the wilderness. There is no second path. If you don't kill them today, we will be the ones to die. Lu Li exhaled deeply. He turned around and forced a smile to his sister. He nodded and said, "Sis, I understand. Don't worry about me." Lu Li took off his robe and jumped into the river to clean himself. Then, he took over the robe and put it on. She looked to the northwest and said, "Let's go. We need to get to the Wuling County as soon as possible. We will be much safer there." Diba and the others were far away at the periphery of the ice abyss. Even if they received the news and immediately chased after them, they would not be able to catch up with them in a short time. Of course, he had to be careful. Diba was now the external clan patriarch of the Zhao family. He had to go to the Wuling County and join the Lu family immediately. The Lu family was the overlord of the Wuling County. If Lu Li joined the Lu family, Diba would have to think twice before he laid a hand on Lu Li. What was more, Luli was about to awaken his bloodline and cultivate Xian energy. By that time, he would be valued by the Lu family. Unless Diba wanted to be hunted down by the Lu family, he would not dare to mess with Luli. On this thought, Luli was relieved. He carried his sister on his back and hurried on. The entire journey was very safe. There were no Xian beasts or wild beasts. It seemed that the beast tide had almost been suppressed. The distance between the Wu Ling County and the Dilong tribe was more than 30 miles. The mountain roads were difficult to walk on. Luckily, Luli was fast. With Lu Ling on his back, he arrived at the outskirts of the county in the afternoon. Luli had been to the Wu Ling County many times. In the past, he hunted wild beasts and Xian beasts to get mystical materials and sold them in the Wu Ling County. Therefore, he was quite familiar with the Wu Ling County. The Wu Ling County was a county, governing more than a dozen small towns and nearly 100 tribes with a radius of more than 300 miles, with a population of more than 1 million. The city was very big, occupying an area of 10 li. There was a towering city wall outside. At the moment, there were city guards on top of the wall. They wore the black armor of the Lu family and looked majestic. There were several city guards outside the city gate checking the people coming in and out. Luli put his sister down and walked into the city holding her hand. Wait! Lu Ling took out a white veil from her bundle and covered her face. This beautiful face of hers once brought her trouble. Because of this, she was crippled. Now that she came to the Wu Ling County, she didn't want to cause any trouble. Stop! 2 escorts walked over. They looked at Luli with alertness and said, "Why is there a strong smell of blood on you?" Even though he had cleaned up, the smell of blood on Luli was still very strong. These escorts had been walking on the edge of blades all year round, so they could tell just by smelling it. Luli cupped his fists and said, "Sir, I killed some beasts on the way and got some blood on my body. My name is Luli. Lord Luwu and Lady Yi both know me. This saber was given to me by Lady Yi." Luli handed over the saber in his hand. The escorts looked at it and let down their guard. The saber had the mark of the Lu family on it. Since Luli could tell the names of Luwu and Lady Yi, there should be no problem. Luli put away the saber and asked after some thoughts, "Sir, is Lady Yi in the county? She asked me to come to the Wu Ling County to find her." Lady Yi. The escort frowned and shook his head. "Lady Yi went to the ice abyss with some men yesterday. She is not in the county." Oh no, Luli's expressions changed. How could he join the Lu family without Lady Yi? If he did not join the Lu family, how could he defend himself when Diba came after him with his men? "Let's go into the county first," Lu Ling said in a low voice. Luli had to lead her into the county. After they entered the county, Lu Ling said, "No violence is allowed in the Wu Ling County. This is the rule set by the Lu family. It is safe in the county. But let's go to the Lu family first. It will be best if we can join the Lu family immediately." Luli knew where the Lu family was. It was in the biggest mansion in the middle of the county. He nodded and led Lu Ling forward quickly. After a while, Lu Ling said again, "Luli, if you can join the Lu family, you must choose to be the guest warrior of the Lu family. You cannot join the external clan." Luli touched his head, not quite understanding what Lu Ling meant. He knew something about the big families. The Lu family, the Zhao family, the Lu family, and even all the big families of the northern desert were similar. The big families were basically divided into internal clan, external clan, and guest clan. The internal clan consisted of the warriors of the family. They had the most resources and the most power. They were the backbone of the family. The external clan consisted of powerful warriors recruited from the outside. For example, Patriarch Hong and many escorts of the Lu family belonged to the external clan. They attached themselves to the Lu family and fought for the Lu family. They would receive the corresponding salary and resources from the Lu family according to their strength, status, and achievements. Then there was the Guest clan. The Guest clan consisted of guest warriors. Nominally, they belonged to the family, but they were free to act. Usually, they did not have to work for the family. They would only be dispatched at critical moments. Guest warriors, on the other hand, had a very low status in the big families. The resources and salary they could receive were very little, unless they were extremely powerful. Guest warriors could enter and leave the family at any time without any restriction or control. They could even leave the family at any time and join other families. Therefore, no family would invest a lot of resources to train a guest warrior. What if the guest warrior left after he was trained? What if he joined an enemy family? The status of a guest warrior in a family was very low. If Luli joined the Lu family as a guest warrior, the Lu family would not value Luli, let alone train him. Even if something happened to Luli, for example, Diba wanted to kill him, the Lu family would not help him. Luli and Lu Ling had started a massacre at the Dilong tribe. They had come to the Wu Ling County to seek the protection of the Lu family. Now, Lu Ling wanted him to become a guest warrior? How could Luli not be confused? Sister, Luli wanted to explain, but Lu Ling waved her hand and said, "You don't have to say more. I understand your concern. You must remember, no matter which family or force you join, you can only be a guest warrior. You cannot join the external clan. Because you have more important things to do. You cannot stay in those families or forces for long. Also, these small families do not deserve you to serve them." Do not deserve? Luli was stunned again. Who was he? It was good enough that the Lu family wanted him. How could Lu Ling say that he did not deserve it? The overlord of the Wu Ling County, the Lu family, was only a small family in Lu Ling's eyes? Yes, they do not deserve it. Lu Ling nodded seriously. After a moment of silence, she said, "Your identity is extraordinary. These small families are not qualified for you to serve. I will tell you the details later. Go to the Lu family first." Extraordinary? Luli touched his head. He was even more confused. However, there were so many people here that it was not appropriate for him to ask. He just walked forward with his mind full of doubts. Every street in the Wu Ling County was noisy because the Beast-Tide city was not peaceful. However, powerful warriors of the super families took action. It was said that they were suppressed by the Beast-Tide, so there was no chaos in the Wu Ling County. After making several turns and walking for an hour, Luli and Lu Ling finally arrived at the north of the plaza in the Wu Ling County, in front of a luxurious and majestic mansion. Go away. Unauthorized people are not allowed here. Luli and Lu Ling were shabbily dressed and neither of them was a warrior. The two escorts of the Lu family at the door immediately asked them to leave. Luli walked up, cupped his fists and said, "I am Luli. Lady E asked me to come to the Wu Ling County to find her. She said that she can recommend me to join the Lu family. This is the saber that Lady E gave me." Luli handed the saber over. The escort looked at it and then at Luli. He waved his hand and said, "Lady E is not here. She will be back in 3 days. You can come back in 3 days." 3 days? Luli's expressions changed. He was afraid that Di Ba would come to the Wu Ling County with his men in 3 days. P.S. Many people said that the update was too slow. How fast was the update during the Burning Heaven War? What the old freak wanted to say was, "Now is the issue of new books. We need to promote and recommend them. According to the rules of the website, the update cannot be fast. So please wait for a while. When the book is on the shelf, the update speed will definitely satisfy everyone. New books needed to be taken care of. Any author would lose their passion if the result was not good. They might ruin the book and stop writing." Chapter 23. Lady E was not here, so Lu Wu must not be in the county either. After all, he was the leader of the most powerful Silver Wolf battle team of the Lu family. Luli looked at Lu Ling, who winked at him, signaling for him to leave. Let's go to that tavern. Lu Ling pointed to a luxurious tavern on the east side of the plaza. Luli looked at it and said with embarrassment, Sis, that tavern is quite expensive. I heard it costs 10 golden leaves for one night. Let's go to another one. So what? Is it more important than your life? Lu Ling said coldly. This tavern is near the Lu family. Clearly, it is the property of the Lu family. Even if Diba comes, he won't dare to do anything. It's just 3 days. I still have some golden leaves I have accumulated over the years. Let's go. Luli had killed many beasts and Xian beasts of low ranks and sold them in the Wu Ling County for some golden leaves. Lu Ling had been living frugally, so she did have some money saved up. They went to the luxurious tavern on the east side. The waiter outside the door stared at them with suspicion. Only when Lu Ling took out a bag of golden leaves from her bag did the waiter lead the way with a smile. They booked 2 of the best rooms. Lu Ling went back to her room to put away her things, and then left the tavern with Luli. In a nearby shop, she helped Luli buy 2 gorgeous warrior robes, while she also bought 2 relatively expensive and beautiful robes for herself. Clothes make the man. Don't let others look down on you when you go to the Lu family. Lu Ling explained. She asked Luli to wash up and change into a new warrior robe. After Luli changed, Lu Ling looked him up and down carefully. She nodded and said with a smile, Sure enough, clothes make the man. In the future, my brother will charm a bunch of young ladies of big families. Luli looked like Lu Ling. His facial features were pretty and his body shape was perfect. However, his skin was a bit rough and dark due to living in the wild all year round. Now that he was wearing a gorgeous white warrior robe, he immediately looked handsome. The wildness in his bones made him look more mature and masculine. Lu Ling was much more beautiful after she changed into a beautiful robe. It was a pity that one of her legs was lame. Her beautiful face was covered by a veil. Otherwise, she would be a dazzling beauty. The 2 went down to have a good meal. Lu Ling asked Luli to go back to his room. When she got back, she took out some white powder from her bag and mixed it with some water. She handed it to Luli and said, Drink it. What is this? Luli smelled something strange. He remembered the tea Lu Ling gave him in the morning. He frowned and asked, Sis, are you going to burn down the house again? This is the property of the Lu family. What are you thinking about? Lu Ling glared at Luli and explained, This is for the antidote. You can cultivate Xian energy after you drink it. Luli blinked and then came to his senses. He looked at Lu Ling in shock and said, Sis, I cannot cultivate Xian energy because I am poisoned? That's right. Lu Ling said with certainty. Also, I was the one who poisoned you. When you were 6 years old, I had already poisoned you, otherwise you would have been able to cultivate profound energy. What? Luli trembled and his eyes were filled with shock. He didn't doubt that Lu Ling was trying to harm him, but he didn't understand why she would do this. If I hadn't poisoned you and allowed you to cultivate Xian energy, we would have died a long time ago. Lu Ling sighed and said, I suspect that the death of our grandpa has something to do with Diba and the several old guys in the tribe. When our grandpa's body was sent back, I clearly remember that Diba looked at us with murderous intent. If it weren't for 6th granduncle, we would have been exterminated. Think about it. If you could cultivate Xian energy at a young age, you would be gifted. When you grow up, you will definitely become a powerful warrior. When you find out the cause of our grandpa's death, will you seek revenge? How could Diba nurture a tiger to invite calamity? Once you cultivated Xian energy too early, only death awaited us. I found a kind of herb in the ancient books left by my father. I successfully found it in the mountains. This herb is harmless to humans. It can only prevent you from cultivating Xian energy. Now, after the antidote is removed, you should be able to cultivate Xian energy. Luli suddenly understood after Lu Ling finished her explanation. Previously, Lu Ling said that he could cultivate Xian energy immediately after he awakened his bloodline. He had thought that Xian energy had something to do with the awakening of his bloodline. Only now did he understand that the reason why he could not cultivate Xian energy was because his sister used poison. Not only did he not blame Lu Ling, but he also looked at her with heartache. He choked with sobs and said, "Sis, it has been hard on you all these years." Lu Ling lost her parents at a young age. When she was 4 years old, she took care of Lu Li, who was still in swaddling clothes, and survived with difficulty. What did 4 years old know? What could she do? Lu Ling also had to be on guard against the open and covert attacks from the tribe. When she was 14 years old, she was almost raped. Her leg was broken, and she crawled back from the wild. When she came back, she had no one to seek justice. She had to bear all the pain and swallow all the grievances. She never told Lu Li and just licked her wounds in silence. Not at all. Lu Ling put on a gentle smile. She reached out her hand and gently touched Lu Li's face. She said in a gentle voice, "Lu Li, we are the children of the Lu family. Lu family members sweat and bleed, but they cannot shed tears. Only the weak will shed tears and complain that the heavens are unfair to them. The strong will silently endure everything and rely on their own hands to overcome all tribulations. If a person wants to become strong, they must first have a strong heart. Do you understand?" "Yes." Lu Li nodded. He grabbed Lu Ling's hands and solemnly said, "Sis, I will try my best to become a powerful warrior. I will never let you suffer any harm or grievance again. I will find the best elixirs to cure your leg. I will let you live a good life. Trust me." "I trust you. My brother will become a powerful warrior that can look down upon all." Lu Ling nodded. Then she handed over the tea and said, "If you want to become a powerful warrior, you must first detoxify and cultivate Xian energy. Xian energy is the foundation of a warrior. Once you have cultivated Xian energy, it will be much easier for you to join the Lu family." "Okay." Lu Li drank the tea in one gulp. When he finished, Lu Ling immediately said, "Sit on the ground with your legs crossed and get rid of all distracting thoughts. Calm down and sense the Xian qi in heaven and earth. Absorb it into your body and condense Xian energy." Lu Li sat with his legs crossed and got rid of all distracting thoughts. He entered a state of emptiness and concentrated on sensing the miraculous Xian qi in heaven and earth. The way to cultivate Xian energy was simple. It was common at the entire northern desert. Anyone with good aptitude could cultivate Xian energy. Lu Li had known about this method for a long time. He had tried it many times over the years. Somehow, he felt there were some miraculous stars in heaven and earth. He knew they were Xian qi. Immediately, he tried to draw them closer by meditating. The human body was naturally attracted to Xian qi. Those invisible stars moved closer to Lu Li's body and got into his body. Lu Li began to think of a way to keep the Xian qi and condense it into Xian energy. At first, it was the same as before. He could not condense it. An hour later, a weak stream of qi suddenly appeared in one of his major meridians. That stream of qi slowly flowed through his meridians, making his entire body feel extremely comfortable. It was as if he had drunk the best wine in the world. Xian energy. Lu Li suddenly opened his eyes and said with surprise, "Sis, I have cultivated Xian energy." Ha ha. Chapter 24. Lu Renhuang. This was the first time Lu Li had heard his father's name. He was shocked by it. Black Tortoise, Spirit Sea, Soul Pond, Fate Wheel, Eternal Realm, Noble Lord, Human Sovereign Realm. Human Sovereign Realm was the king of humans. In the history of the Northern Desert, any human sovereign realm could unify the Northern Desert and build a powerful dynasty. The vast territory would be under his feet and billions of powerful warriors would obey his orders. Human Sovereign Realm was the most powerful warrior of the human race, the unparalleled chosen warrior. Someone dared to call himself Lu Renhuang? Wasn't he afraid that some powerful warriors would send someone to kill him? After all, this was a taboo. Blaspheming a human sovereign realm was not tolerated by heaven and earth. Even if someone insulted a powerful warrior of human sovereign realm, the big families would hunt him down for thousands of miles if they knew, let alone Lu Renhuang. You have an unusual identity? Lu Li remembered Lu Ling's words. A bold idea came to his mind. Could it be that he was the son of a powerful warrior of human sovereign realm? But on second thought, there was no powerful warrior of human sovereign realm at the northern desert for the past 100 years. Don't overthink it. Seeing Lu Li's expression, Lu Ling stood up and said, "As long as you can awaken your bloodline, I will tell you everything. Now we must go out. Let's go to the temple and see when we can open the bloodline altar. As long as you can awaken your bloodline, the Lu family will treat you like a lord." Lu Li felt there were more and more mysteries about him, but Lu Ling would not talk about it. Luckily, he had already reached 11,000 pounds of strength and could awaken his bloodline at any time. A little while longer was not a big deal. Ba could bring people into the Wu Ling County at any time. Even though he was staying in the tavern of the Lu family, Lu Li did not feel safe. He quickly got up and walked out with Lu Ling. The temple was actually at the south of the plaza, corresponding to the mansion of the mayor. Every city had a temple for bloodline awakening. "Sis, is there anything I need to awaken my bloodline? Like golden leaves?" Lu Li asked as he walked towards the temple. He knew nothing about the temple. He used to only see it from a distance. Since the gate of the temple was always closed and it was mysterious, Lu Li dared not to go closer. All the warriors at the northern desert wanted to awaken their bloodline and become the most powerful bloodline warrior. Disciples of the big families and young people of tribes all wanted to awaken their bloodline. It was said that Hua had a try. Lu Li thought that if anyone could come without any conditions, wouldn't the people of the temple be exhausted? After all, there were so many people in Wu Ling County. Nothing. Lu Ling said with certainty, "As long as you can open the gate of the temple, it means that there is hope for you to awaken your bloodline. The temple will arrange for you to do so." Lu Li looked at the old temple in the south. The temple was old, but it did not seem to be dilapidated. The temple was pitch black, and there were 6 large pillars at the front door, carved with ancient and mysterious patterns. The 4 walls of the temple also had mysterious patterns. The temple was not big, but it was full of mystery and strangeness. This temple could be seen by anyone who passed by. The passers-by and warriors in the plaza were already used to it, so no one paid any attention to it. Lu Li walked with Lu Ling step by step. When they were about 30 feet away from the temple, Lu Ling stopped. She encouraged Lu Li with a smile. "Go, push open the gate of the temple. A new world will open for you." Lu Li looked at Lu Ling somehow. His confidence grew stronger. He slowly walked towards the temple. The passers-by nearby were attracted by Lu Li. Seeing that he was so old, they mocked him. Normally, bloodline awakening would happen at the age of 6. Disciples of big families or children of tribes would organize a group of 6-year-old children to come here to awaken their bloodline every month. It was said that 6 years old was the best time to awaken one's bloodline. Every year, at least thousands of children would go to the Wu Ling County to push open the gate of the temple. However, only a few could get in. Over the years, none of the children that got in could awaken their bloodline. Lu Li was already 14 or 15 years old. How could he still dream of awakening his bloodline? Ignoring the passers-by, Lu Li walked towards the gate of the temple step by step with determination. More and more passers-by were attracted by him. They all looked at Lu Li with mockery, wanting to see Lu Li suffer. Lu Li walked to the gate of the temple. Looking at the 2 dark, ancient and mysterious gates in front of him, he took a deep breath and reached out one hand to push the gate. Buzzing! The gate suddenly glowed. The patterns on it seemed to come to life. Clearly, there was an inhibition formation on the gate. Otherwise, anyone could push it open. Creak, creak, a soft sound rang out, and the two black doors actually opened inwards. Lu Li's eyes glowed. He suddenly turned around and looked at Lu Ling. The latter nodded slightly as if everything was within her expectations. What? The plaza was in an uproar. A 14 or 15-year-old boy could push open the gate of the temple. Did he not try to awaken his bloodline when he was 6 years old? Lu Li really did not come here. The people of the De Long tribe did not bring him here. Lu Ling never mentioned it either. She only asked him to refine his body. Rustle, rustle, rustle. A sound of footsteps came from inside the temple. A skinny old man covered in a black robe walked over slowly. When he got to the gate, he looked up at Lu Li and said, "You have pushed open the gate of the temple and gained the opportunity to activate the bloodline altar. You can come here in half a month. By then, the awakening ceremony will be held for you. Whether you can awaken your bloodline or not will depend on your luck." With that said, the skinny old man gently patted the gate of the temple. The gate closed slowly. The patterns on the gate no longer glowed and returned to normal. Lu Li walked back in strides. Many people looked at him curiously, but no one paid much attention to him. After all, there were some children who could push open the gate of the temple every year. However, many of them went in full of hope, only to return in disappointment. Not to mention powerful bloodlines of the third rank and above, not to mention powerful ones of the third rank and above, not to mention those of the lowest rank. Half a month. When they got back to the tavern, both Lu Li and Lu Ling looked serious. Half a month seemed to be a short time, but it was enough for many things to happen. Lu Ling's original plan was that Lu Li would be valued and treated like a lord even if he joined the Lu family as a guest warrior after he awakened a powerful bloodline. There was still half a month left. Deba would definitely bring people to the Wu Ling County. Unless Lu Li joined the external clan of the Lu family, the Lu family would not help him. Join the external clan of the Lu family? This was something that Lu Ling would never allow. She stayed silent all the way back to the tavern. She immediately told Lu Li, for the next 3 days, you must cultivate your Xian energy with all your might. Try to reach the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm. Only then will the Lu family value you. Middle stage of the Xian Wu realm? How is that possible? Lu Li was speechless. He had just cultivated Xian energy, and was only at the initial stage of the Xian Wu realm. How could he cultivate from the initial stage of the Xian Wu realm to the middle stage in 3 days? Was this not a pipe dream? Chapter 25. Others might not be able to do it, but you can. Lu Ling took out a book from the bundle. Then, in front of Lu Li's shocked eyes, she tore the first page, and took out a thin golden page from the interlayer. She handed it over and said in a serious tone, "Read the mental cultivation method in this book and destroy it immediately." "This is left by my father?" Lu Li's eyes glowed. These books were all left by his father, so the golden page must be one of them. He took it over and glanced over it. Soon, his breaths became rapid. Book of War God, Section 1. There were only dozens of words on the golden page, and it was indicated that this was only the first section of a mental cultivation method. The name was quite domineering. Every golden character was like a tiger, and each of them had a strange and unpredictable power. Lu Li's heart was stirred up and his blood was boiling. This is a cultivation method unique to the Lu family. But my father only left you the first section. Even though it is only the first section, it is enough for you to cultivate to the peak of the Soul Pond realm. Lu Ling said seriously, "Lu Li, you must remember that you cannot tell anyone about this. You cannot say it even if you die." What is my father's background? Lu Li's mind was full of questions. It seemed that Lu Ling would not tell him, so he had to take the golden page back to his room. He carefully studied the dozens of words on the golden page. After he was sure that he had memorized all of them, he threw the page into the stove to burn. Cultivate. Luli tried hard to calm down his excitement. He sat down with his legs crossed and started to cultivate. The cultivation of the Xian Wu realm was easy, just like the basic cultivation of Xian energy. Everyone at the northern desert knew about it. However, knowing about it was one thing. Whether one could cultivate Xian energy and the speed of cultivation depended on one's talent. There was a famous saying at the northern desert: to be successful, one needed 80% effort, 10% talent, and 10% luck. Often, the latter two factors were more important than the first one. Talent was a person's constitution. If you could not cultivate Xian energy, how could you become a powerful warrior? Others could cultivate Xian energy at the age of 3 and awaken bloodlines of the 5th or 6th rank at the age of 5 or 6. Even if you worked hard for a lifetime, you could not compare to others who cultivated for a year. It was cruel to say it out loud, but it was the truth. Of course, diligence was the foundation. No matter how high one's talent was, if they were not diligent, they would still be overtaken by martial artists with low talent. They would not be able to become an expert that could look down on everyone. To cultivate in the profound martial realm, one was to accumulate profound energy, and the second was to use profound energy to open up the 12 main meridians in the body. When the 12 main meridians were all opened and the Xian energy was abundant, he would reach the peak of the Xian Wu realm. He could then condense the Spirit Sea and break through to the Spirit Sea realm. The Xian martial realm was a great test of talent, in other words, one's constitution. Of course, if he was a disciple of a large family, he would have access to a vast amount of resources. For example, he could soak in rare medicinal herbs from a young age and use spirit medicines to improve his physique. This way, his cultivation would naturally be faster. Good physique and abnormal talent, these 2 points. Firstly, he cultivated his Xian energy very quickly. Others cultivated for a month to accumulate 10 strands, but he only needed 2 hours. This was his abnormal talent. Another point was the meridians. Everyone was born with impurities in their bodies. They were not pure, and there would be blockages in the meridians, affecting the flow of dark force. Xian energy was the foundation of a warrior. To have powerful combat ability, one must let the Xian energy flow around the body so that it could be mobilized anywhere at any time. Therefore, in order to cultivate, one must first cultivate the meridians. One must melt away the blockages in the meridians with Xian energy and open up the meridians so that the Xian energy could flow freely in all the meridians. Everyone's physique was different. Some people had more blockages in their meridians, some had less, and some were completely blocked and could not be opened up. This was the difference in talent. Those with good physique and abnormal talent would have very few blockages. Others would need months or even years to open up one meridian, but they would only need a few days or even half a day. People like this would usually be called geniuses. Good heavens, I can't believe my physique is so good. After cultivating for only an hour, Luli opened his eyes. He murmured in shock. At this moment, he finally understood why Lu Ling said that he could reach the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm in 3 days. For the cultivation of Xian energy, he used the War God album. He did not know whether his cultivation speed was fast or slow because he did not know the cultivation speed of others. But one thing was for sure. The blockages in the Chong meridian, the main meridian that he was cultivating, were very few, pitifully few. It was even to the extent that he could use Xian energy to open up the entire meridian. The blockages of impurities in the meridian did not completely block it. There could only be 2 explanations. Either he was extremely talented or someone gave him the best elixirs when he was young to improve his physique. Either way, Lu Ling must know the reason. Otherwise, she would not have let Lu Li reach the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm in 3 days. Of the 12 main meridians, 4 would be the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm. 8 would be the later stage of the Xian Wu realm. When all of them were opened up, he would reach the peak of the Xian Wu realm. Then, he would condense the Spirit Sea and reach the God Wu realm. For meridians, if every meridian was the same as the Chong meridian, then it would not take 3 days to open up all 4. If he did not rest day and night, it would take him 1.5 days at most. Cultivate. Lu Li did not care anymore. After all, Lu Ling would tell him everything after the bloodline was awakened. He began to cultivate Xian energy wholeheartedly. He used Xian energy to open up his meridians and make the breakthrough to the Xian Wu realm first. The more powerful he was, the faster he could cultivate. The Lu family would value him more. As long as he was under the protection of the Lu family, even the internal clan patriarchs of the Zhao family would have to think twice if they wanted to make trouble for Lu Li, let alone Di Ba, an external clan patriarch. It was getting dark outside. After 2 hours, Lu Ling came in with a lunchbox. Seeing the glow of Xian energy on Lu Li's body, a smile appeared in her eyes. She went back to her room to rest by herself. Lu Li did not eat, nor did he rest. He immersed himself in cultivation. He was very excited. He cultivated for an entire night, but he did not feel tired at all. Instead, he was in high spirits. After dawn, Lu Ling came in and forced Lu Li to sleep for a while. Lu Li woke up at noon. Then he continued to cultivate Xian energy and use it to open up his meridians. For the next 2 days, Lu Li and Lu Ling did not leave the tavern. Apart from eating and taking naps, Lu Li spent the rest of his time cultivating and trying to open up his meridians. His cultivation progress was very fast. On the first night, he had opened up the Chong meridian. On the second afternoon and evening, he had opened up the Hand Yang meridian on his left hand and the Hand Yin meridian on his right hand. On the third day, he started to attack the Foot Yang meridian on his right leg. At dusk on the third day, Lu Li opened his eyes. He saw Lu Ling by his side. Immediately, he shouted with joy like a child, "Sis, I did it! I have opened up 4 meridians. I am a warrior at the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm now." In less than 3 days, Lu Li had successfully made a breakthrough from the initial stage of the Xian Wu realm to the middle stage. If this speed were known, the entire Wu Ling County would be in an uproar. Chapter 26. Lu Li, get your ass out here. Just when Lu Li stopped his cultivation and took a few bites of food, a domineering shout came from the outside. Di Ba. The 2 siblings were very familiar with the voice. They looked at each other and their expressions changed. What they were worried about the most had happened. Di Ba was here. More importantly, how could Di Ba shout so arrogantly in the tavern of the Lu family? How could a patriarch of the external clan that had just joined the Zhao family be so arrogant? Who gave him such confidence? "Sis, what should we do?" Lu Li looked towards Lu Ling with his saber in his hand. If Di Ba was going to make a move, then he would have to fight to the death. "Don't worry." Lu Ling stood up after some thoughts and said, "Let's go out and meet him. I don't think he dares to do anything in the tavern. Otherwise, he wouldn't shout and just kill his way in." It was a blessing, not a curse. If it was a curse, the Lu family would know as soon as possible. Hiding here was not a solution. They might as well go out and meet him. There were more people down there. If anything happened, the Lu family would know at once. Lu Li helped Lu Ling walk out. At the stairs, they saw the tavern's lobby was full of people. The waiters and escorts of the tavern all came out, surrounding a group of warriors in cyan armors and glaring at them. Di Ba. Lu Li and Lu Ling saw Di Ba right away. He was in cyan armor and had 4 or 5 men with him. They all seemed to be warriors of the Zhao family. Di who had inherited Di Ba's physique. Di Ba had a square face and he was at least 1.85 meters tall. He had a stocky build and a huge axe on his back. He was emitting a domineering qi and energy. He looked like a human-shaped wild beast. Lu Ling, Lu Li. When he saw Lu Li and Lu Ling, His eyes were filled with killing intent. He shouted in a deep voice, "You and your sister are good. How dare you kill fourth uncle, Uncle Li, Tian, and Han? If I don't kill you today, I, Ba, will commit suicide as an apology." Rustle, rustle, rustle. Many people came out of their rooms in the tavern. A crowd started to gather outside. Of course, nobody would intervene. Clearly, they were just here to enjoy the show. Lu Li held his saber tightly in his hand and stood in front of Lu Ling. If Ba were to make a move, Lu Li would fight to the death. He didn't say anything. Lu Ling did, but she didn't look at Ba. Instead, she looked at the tavern keeper. She said in a cold voice, "Tavern keeper, we paid a high price to stay here because we don't want to be disturbed." This was the territory of the Lu family, but someone was shouting and wanting to kill? Is your Lu family not going to do anything about it? Or the Wu Ling County did not belong to the Lu family? If I remember correctly, no violence is allowed in the Wu Ling County. This is the rule set by the Castellan of the Wu Ling County, right? As soon as Lu Ling finished her words, the tavern keeper and the escorts changed their expressions. It was indeed a rule set by the patriarch of the Lu clan that no violence was allowed in the city. If Ba and the others were allowed to openly kill people in the inn today, the prestige of the Lu clan would be greatly reduced, and the business of the inn would suffer a disastrous decline. A shopkeeper with a mustache said with a gloomy face, "All the people of the Zhao family leave. If you have any grievances, you can appeal to the Castellan's mansion. If you use force here, you will be making an enemy of the Lu family." Clank, clank, a group of escorts of the Lu family unsheathed their weapons. If Ba and the others were to act recklessly, a fight would break out immediately. Seeing this, Lu Li let out a sigh of relief. Ba was a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. Among the 4 or 5 people he brought with him, one of them was also at the Spirit Sea realm. The rest were at the peak of the Xian Wu realm. Once they started fighting, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ha ha! Before Ba said anything, another middle-aged man of the Spirit Sea realm next to him spoke. A token appeared in his hand. He looked at the tavern keeper with a smile and said, "Brother Lu Yuan, this is the token of our family patriarch. These two are traitors of the De Long tribe. Not only did they betray the tribe, but they also killed many people of the De Long tribe. Our family patriarch said that the outside world is in turmoil now. If such insane people enter the county, they might cause trouble. Speaking of which, this is a family matter of the De Long tribe. Brother Lu Yuan, can you make it easier for us? Let Ba deal with it himself. Of course, we will not make a scene in the county. We will deal with it after we leave the county." The man who spoke seemed to have some prestige in the Zhao family. The tavern keeper and the escorts looked better. The tavern keeper looked at the token in the man's hand from time to time, struggling. Oh no, Lu Li could tell that the situation was not right. The escorts of the Lu family had lost their will to fight. Maybe they would allow Ba to take them down. After all, the sister and brother were just 2 unimportant people. As long as they did not kill anyone in the county, it would be easier for them to accept it. Lu Li thought of something and cupped his hands to the tavern keeper. "Lord, I am Lu Li. I did kill some people of the De Long tribe, but you can't just listen to one side of the story. I am quite familiar with Lady Yi and Lord Lu Wu. You can get them here first before you decide if you want to hand us over or not." Lady Yi Lu Wu? The tavern keeper, Lu Yuan, was startled. Just now, he almost decided to ignore this matter. However, since Lu Li mentioned these 2 people, he could not be careless. He blinked his eyes and said, "Someone, go and see if Lady Yi and Lord Lu Wu are back." This time, it was Ba's turn to look awful. He looked at Lu Li in surprise. This bastard knew Lu Wu and Lady Yi? Also, why did he kill Tian, Han, and the 2 patriarchs? Tat, tat, tat. After a moment, there came some hurried footsteps from the outside. A gust of ferocious chi and energy came from afar. Luli looked into the distance and was immediately overjoyed. He saw a team of silver wolf escorts running towards him. At the front was Lady E. Lady E is back. A waiter outside shouted in surprise from afar. Deba and the others looked even more awful. It was such a coincidence that Lady E came back. Lady E must have just come back from outside. She was travel-worn, and her fox fur was a bit dirty. She arrived at the tavern on her silver wolf and jumped down. The people at the door immediately made way. Lady E walked in with 6 or 7 escorts. Luli? Lady E saw Luli at first glance. Her tired face lit up. She said with a smile, "Luli, are you here for me?" Luli cupped his hands and said, "Lady E, I can't stay in the tribe any longer. So, I came to seek shelter with you. You see, our chief is chasing me to the county. Also, Lady E, I have cultivated Xian energy." Lu Li's hands glowed, and his vigorous Xian energy glistened. Lady E and the escorts were all shocked. Even Deba murmured in surprise, "Middle stage of the Xian Wu realm. How is it possible?" Lu Li could not cultivate Xian energy, which was a well-known fact in the tribe. Deba had asked Di Hu and the others to keep an eye on Lu Li. If Lu Li could cultivate Xian energy, he would have killed the 2 siblings a long time ago. He had just left the tribe not long ago. Even if Lu Li could cultivate Xian energy, it should have happened in this period of time. How could Lu Li reach the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm in such a short time? Compared to Deba, Lady E was even more shocked. Lu Li had just fought with her several days ago, and he had been carrying coffins for quite some time. There was absolutely no Xian energy in Lu Li's body. She, Lu Wu and Patriarch Hong could not have made a mistake. How could he cultivate Xian energy in such a short time and reach the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm? Lu Li's physique was abnormal, and he could consume the body refinement pellet without any period of weakness. At this moment, in Lady Yi's eyes, Lu Li was full of mystery and wonder. Lady Yi, Zhao Li just said. The tavern keeper walked over and stood next to Lady Yi. He told her about Deba and the others, emphasizing on the words of the family patriarch of the Zhao family. After Lady Yi heard it, she said decisively, "Zhao Li, bring your men out. This is the Wu Ling County. Anyone who dares to use force in the county will be killed without mercy." Lady Zhao Li raised the token of the Zhao family patriarch and wanted to say something. However, Lady Yi did not listen to him at all. She waved her hand in an overbearing manner and said, "Get out." Okay. Zhao Li sneered and left with his men. Deba clenched his teeth and stared at Lu Li and his sister ferociously. Then he walked out of the tavern in anger. All right. Chapter 27. What? You want to join the guest clan? Become a foreign elder? Lady E had just brought Lu Li and his sister back to the Lu family compound. Before they even had time to sit down, Lady E received a piece of shocking news. Lu Li said with certainty, "Yes, I want to join the guest clan. As long as the Lu family agrees, I will risk my life for anything the Lu family needs." Lu Ling had made it very clear to him that he could join any family as long as he was a guest warrior. He could not join the external clan. Of course, it was impossible to join the inner hall. Usually, only the disciples of the main clan could join the inner hall. Lu Li had rarely disobeyed his sister since he was a kid. Now that he heard about what happened to his sister, he felt even more sorry for her. How could he disobey her? Wait. Lady E took a sip of tea and seriously said, "Lu Li, you may not know much about big families. You don't know about the external clan and the guest clan. If I understand." Lu Li interrupted Lady E and said apologetically, "I know that if I join the guest clan, my status in the family will be very low, and I will have very few resources and power. But I have my difficulties. I can only promise that as long as the Lu clan accepts me into the guest clan, I will die 10,000 times if anything happens to the Lu clan. Don't say any more. It's meaningless. Seeing that Luli was asking for all kinds of guarantees, Lady Yi shook her head and said, "Rules are rules. I don't have the final say in the family. Not even my father has the right to give guest warriors the treatment of the external clan, let alone me. Moreover, you have offended Diba. Now, Diba is the Zhao clan's external clan elder. It's fine if you stay in the city, but if you leave the city, the clan will not be able to protect you." "I know." Luli nodded again. "But I insist." After Luli finished his words, he could clearly feel that Lady Yi's expression turned gloomy. The escorts inside and outside the hall also looked unhappy. There was some mockery in their eyes, as if they were blaming Luli for not knowing what was good for him in silence. Lu Ling stood next to Luli. She said nothing from beginning to end. Her face was covered with a veil and her eyes were lowered. No one could tell what was on her mind. "All right." Young Lady Yi couldn't be bothered to persuade him any further. She stood up and said, "Joining the guest clan requires you to complete a mission. You might have to leave the city, so you better be careful. As long as you complete the task, you will be a guest of the Lu family. I hope you will cultivate well. If you want to change your mind, you can look for me at any time. Lu Yu, bring them to the guest hall and tell the guest hall elders about my intentions." Lady Yi got up and left with her people, leaving behind the escort, Lu Yu, who said to Luli and his sister with a straight face, "Come with me." Luli and Lu Ling could understand the drastic change in Lu Yu's attitude. Guest warriors were not welcomed in any family. Unless Luli was very powerful, no family would want to raise a person for nothing. That person might even join a hostile family. The Lu family was very large. Inside, there were layers of buildings, pavilions, terraces, and waterside pavilions. Candles were lit everywhere. It was luxurious yet elegant. It was the first time that the sister and brother had seen such a novel view. They felt dizzy. The Lu family is not like your tribe. There are many rules here. You can't wander around. You can only walk in the guest hall. If you want to leave Lu Castle, you have to go through the west gate, and your sister can't come and go as she pleases. Later, the guest hall's elder will give you a detailed catalogue and tell you all the rules. While walking, Lu Yu explained to Luli. Luli nodded slightly, and Lu Ling lowered her head and stopped looking around. After the time it took for several incense sticks to burn, Lu Yu brought them to a yard. There were more than a dozen individual yards. Many of the yards were lit with candles. It seemed that there were some guest warriors of the Lu family. "Patriarch Qing, this is the new guest warrior. His name is Luli. Lady Yi asked you to make arrangements." When they arrived at a yard, Lu Yu left the sister and brother to the white-bearded old man and left directly. He never looked at Luli and his sister again. The white-bearded old man, on the other hand, had a kind smile on his face. He pointed to a yard in the corner and said, "I am Qing Chu, a patriarch of the guest clan. You go and stay there. Let's talk tomorrow." The white-bearded old man threw a wooden slip to Luli and said, "These are the rules of the guest clan. Take a look first. If you don't understand, ask me tomorrow." Luli and his sister left with their fists cupped in front of their chest. They walked into the yard in the corner. This yard was bigger than the one they lived in the tribe. It had 4 rooms. The decorations inside were average, but much better than the yard they lived in the Dilong tribe. Lu Ling put down the bundle and walked around in the yard. She nodded and said, "Not bad. It is quiet and safe here. It is suitable for cultivation. If everything goes well, we will stay here for 1 or 2 years." Luli was reading the catalogue given to him by Qing Chu to understand the rules of the guest clan of the Lu family. He looked up and asked, "Sis, 1 or 2 years. Where are we going?" "The south." Lu Ling pointed to the south and said, "The small Wu Ling County is not suitable for you. You have more important things to do. In 3 years, you must go to the Heaven Martial City, the Heaven Frigid City or the Heaven Cold City. You must join one of the 3 largest 5th-rank royal families of the northern desert and become the guest warrior of one of them. Heaven Martial City, Heaven Frigid City, Heaven Cold City? Royal family? Luli was shocked by Lu Ling again. The 3 cities were the 3 royal cities of the northern desert. They were the capital cities of the Heaven Martial Kingdom, the Heaven Frigid Kingdom and the Heaven Cold Kingdom. Lu Ling wanted him to go to the 3 royal cities and join one of the 3 royal families? Who was he? He was just a civilian of a small tribe. It was lucky enough that he could join a county overlord like the Lu family. Royal family? That was the super overlord that stood at the peak of the northern desert. The family patriarch of the Lu family might not even want to be a gatekeeper for the royal family. How could he become a guest warrior of a royal family? Luli, don't underestimate yourself. I told you that your identity is extraordinary and your future is limitless. As long as you work hard, one day, you will stand at the peak of the northern desert. The entire northern desert will tremble under your feet. You have the blood of the Lu family in your veins. You are destined to be extraordinary. Lu Ling said seriously. After a pause, she added, joining a 5th-rank royal family is your first goal. You still have a long way to go. Now don't think about anything else. Work hard on your cultivation and we can talk about it after your bloodline awakening. Luli was speechless again. Lu Ling was so secretive about many things, which made him confused. It just so happened that she was stubborn. If she didn't say anything, Luli would not get any answers no matter how hard he asked. He had to go back to his room with the catalog. From now on, Lu Ling would live in the yard all the time, so she didn't need the catalog. But Luli must carefully study the rules of the guest clan of the Lu family in case he was evicted. Luli gained some understanding of the rules of the guest clan after reading the catalog for several times. The Lu family had few restrictions on guest warriors. As long as they didn't act recklessly in the name of the Lu family or in the Lu family, they would be fine. The Lu family would distribute salaries and resources every month. Usually, the Lu family would not mobilize guest warriors unless the family was in danger of being exterminated. This was equivalent to feeding a bunch of idlers for nothing. That being said, every guest warrior must go through an assessment before they could join the guest clan to prove their abilities or potential. The Lu family would not feed a bunch of useless people for nothing. Assessment? Chapter 28. Whatever he wanted would come true. On the second day, Ching Chu, the guest clan patriarch, found Luli and gave him a mission. Luli was to go to the ice abyss with Lady E in 4 days. He must kill 100 first-rank Xian beasts or 1 second-rank Xian beast before he could become an official guest warrior of the Lu family. Near the abyss, a group of experts from the super clans battled the Beast Emperor, triggering a beast tide on the outskirts of the abyss. Even though the powerful Xian beasts were killed and the beast tide was suppressed, there are still many Xian beasts charging towards the outskirts. Therefore, recently, all the families have mobilized their powerful armies to the periphery of the abyss to kill the Xian beasts. This time, our Lu family lost many people in the battle. You happen to want to join the guest clan. Since the Lu family is in trouble, of course, you will not shirk. Ching Chu left after saying a few words. Luli looked at Lu Ling, who nodded and said, "The assessment task is reasonable. If you go with Lady E, the danger will be greatly reduced. You can also familiarize yourself with the use of Xian energy. Of course, Diba will definitely think of ways to take revenge. Therefore, you will still have a slim chance of survival when you leave the city." Luli said with a frown, "The task has been given and I cannot change it. I have to go out and fight. Unfortunately, time is too tight. If I was given 1 or 2 months to take the test, I would be able to open up all my meridians and think of a way to condense the Divine Sea." And, after some thoughts, Lu Ling waved her hand and said, "Go and cultivate now. See if you can open up more energy channels in these 4 days and increase your fighting capacity. Let's talk about it before the mission. Luli had no other choice but to go back to his room to continue cultivating. He had already opened up 4 energy channels, and his speed was as fast as a rocket. If the rest of his energy channels were the same as the first 4, he could reach the peak of the Xian Wu realm in a little more than a month. It was obvious, he thought too much. The 5th meridian, the Foot-in meridian, went smoothly. It only took him half a day. However, the 6th meridian, the Ren meridian, was very long, and there were more impurities in it. It took him 1.5 days to clear this meridian. Living here was very leisurely. There was no need to worry about food or clothing. Every day, someone would bring food, water, and fruit. There was also a junior chief steward in charge of the guest hall. If there was anything that they needed, they could look for him as long as it wasn't too much. Why is the 7th meridian so long and huge? Luli cultivated day and night without worrying about Lu Ling. By the time he reached the 7th one, he was even more dumbfounded. The 7th meridian, the governing meridian, was twice the size of the 6th meridian, the Ren meridian. There were even more blockages in it. According to his estimation, it would take at least 3 to 4 days to clear it. The further he went, the harder it got. Luli understood. If cultivation was easier, then everyone would be a noble lord or a human sovereign realm warrior. The reason why there were so few powerful warriors was because each breakthrough to the next realm was extremely difficult. If Lu Li's thoughts were known by others, they would be so depressed that they would vomit blood. Even Zhao Rui, the most talented young master of the Zhao family, spent a whole year to reach the peak from the initial stage of the Xian Wu realm. It looked like Lu Li would only spend several months at most. As expected, by the afternoon of the 3rd day, Lu Li had only opened up half of his 7th energy channel. After cultivating for a few days, the profound energy in his meridians was very dense, enough for him to use for a month or 2. Stop cultivating and take a break. Lu Ling walked in and handed over a bowl of steaming food. It was more like a basin than a bowl. Lu Li's appetite was frighteningly large. Looking at Lu Li wolfing down his food, Lu Ling said, "We are leaving tomorrow morning. Later, go and find Ching Chu and see if he can get a good weapon." Weapon? Lu Li stopped eating and said with a frown, "I am not the official guest warrior of the Lu family yet. I don't think it is appropriate to ask for a weapon now. What's more, I am quite used to that saber. It is a Xian artifact of the 1st rank. It is not a matter of getting used to it," Lu Ling explained. "You don't understand Xian skills. It doesn't matter if the saber is a Xian artifact or not. You might as well use a heavy weapon. You have more than 11,000 pounds of strength with your physical body. If you use your Xian energy, you will have at least 16,000 to 17,000 pounds, which is much higher than the peak of the Xian Wu realm. Since you don't understand Xian skills, then you can use force to break them. Attack with absolute strength. This way you can make full use of your advantage." "Right." Lu Li thought about it for a while and his eyes lit up. Lu Ling's words enlightened him. His strength was much higher than the peak of the Xian Wu realm. If he could have a heavy weapon, he could use his powerful strength to break the ingenious moves of his enemies. He could defeat all with his strength. After he figured it out, Lu Li gulped down his food. Soon, he swallowed it all. Lu Ling took out some golden leaves from her bag and handed them over. "You don't have to worry about food or clothing at the Lu family. Golden leaves are useless now. If you can trade them for something, you can trade them for the heaviest weapon. Any type will do." "Okay." Lu Li grabbed more than 100 golden leaves and left. This was all he had accumulated over the years. He didn't feel the pinch at all. As long as he could come back alive from this mission, he could always get more golden leaves in the future. He found Ching Chu, the guest clan patriarch, but the latter was in a difficult position. After all, Luli was not the official guest warrior of the Lu family yet. He had not made any contribution to the Lu family. If he asked for something from the Lu family now, the old guy of the Hall of Weapons would definitely not agree. Seeing Lu Li's hopeful look, Ching Chu waved his hand and said, "This is your ID token. Go and try your luck. The Hall of Weapons is in the external clan, attic number 19. Lu Li took over the ID token, thanked Ching Chu and left. He walked out of the guest clan and looked for the house numbers along the way. After the time it took for several incense sticks to burn, Lu Li found a big attic. The words Hall of Weapons were written on the door. Stop! There was someone in the yard of the Hall of Weapons. It was an old man with gray hair. He stared at Lu Li and said, "ID token?" Lu Li handed over his ID token. The old man took it over and his Xian energy surged. Soon, the ID token lit up. The word guest appeared on it. The old man glanced at Lu Li, waved his hand and said, "You are not the official guest warrior yet. You don't have any contribution points. You are not qualified to go in." Alas, Lu Li took over the ID token with a bit of sadness. Then he took out some golden leaves and said, "Sir, can I buy weapons with golden leaves? I am going to participate in the assessment soon. I can't use my full strength without a weapon." "Golden leaves?" The old man looked at Lu Li with a sneer and said, "Do you think the Lu family is short of golden leaves? All Xian artifacts need contribution points to be exchanged. High-rank Xian artifacts need even more contribution points. How about this? Since you are going to participate in the assessment and don't have any weapons, I will make an exception. You can exchange with golden leaves, but you can only get the most average weapons or damaged Xian artifact." "Thank you, sir." Lu Li was overjoyed. He didn't need Xian artifacts, just heavy weapons. He followed the old man into the Hall of Weapons. However, the old man did not take him to the attic in the middle. Instead, he took him to a small room in the corner. The old man opened the door and said, "Go in and pick one. Later, take it out for me to have a look. You can only exchange if I think it is reasonable." Lu Li hurried in. The room was not wide, only 40 or 50 square feet. It was piled full of weapons, at least more than 1,000. Some of the weapons were rusted, emitting a rusty smell. "They are all damaged Xian artifacts." Lu Li glanced over and was disappointed. Most of the weapons were damaged Xian artifacts. Some were even broken. The Xian artifacts were usually sabers, spears, swords, spears, bows and arrows. None of them seemed heavy. Lu Li wandered around in the room and tried many weapons. He found that none of them were heavy enough. The heaviest one was an axe that weighed only 500 or 600 pounds. There is a big saber down there. Lu Li rummaged for a while and found a huge saber at the bottom of the pile of weapons. Even though he only saw a corner of it, he could tell that the saber must be very heavy. Lu Li moved the weapons aside and the saber revealed itself. It was a very beautiful saber. It was definitely a Xian artifact, and it was not of a low rank. The lines on it were simple and elegant. One look and Lu Li could tell that it was no ordinary weapon. It was a pity that the saber was ruined. A part of the blade was broken, and it was not neat. It looked a bit awkward. Chapter 29. Hoi! He swung the saber in the air, and played with it for a while, getting more and more excited. This saber used to be a Xian artifact of high rank. The material it was made of was extraordinary. Lu Li could feel a bone-chilling coldness when he touched it. Heaven Kailan Sword? Heaven Kailan Sword. Lu Li saw 2 words on the handle, which made him even more certain that this saber was extraordinary. Only Xian artifacts of the Earth grade could be named. Xian artifacts of the human grade were not qualified to be named. What a pity! Lu Li looked at the broken blade and sighed. If this Xian artifact was not destroyed, it could enhance a warrior's combat ability by more than 30 to 40%. But if it was not broken, it wouldn't be here. This is it. Lu Li walked out with the 3-foot-long broken saber. He cupped his hands in front of his chest and said to the elder, "Sir, can you trade this broken saber for me? You can have all my golden leaves." Heaven Kylan's sword? The elder glanced at the handle and said with a mocking smile, "Punk, this Heaven Kylan's sword is an Earth-grade Xian artifact, a weapon used by the previous family patriarch. Even though it is destroyed, how can you trade it for it? Not even 100,000 golden leaves, let alone 100 golden leaves. Put it back. 100,000 golden leaves?" Lu Li's mouth was wide open. This broken saber was so valuable? 100,000 golden leaves could be piled up into a hill. How many beasts would he have to kill to trade for it? Put it back? Lu Li was a bit reluctant. This saber weighed more than 2,000 pounds, and it was made of a special material. Average Xian artifact might not be able to break it. With this saber, his combat ability could be increased by at least a few times. If he had this saber in the battle at the Dilong tribe, he could have killed a man with one move. Dihua had no chance to escape. Lu Li cupped his hands in front of his chest and begged, "Sir, I really need this saber. What do you want? I will owe you now and pay you back later. I can pay you back even if it is 100,000 golden leaves." "No," the elder said with a dark face, "rules are rules. If you continue to pester me endlessly, I will throw you out." Lu Li bowed with his teeth clenched and said, "Sir, I beg you. Anything is negotiable. I just want this saber." "If you want this saber, it's simple." Right at that moment, a pleasant female voice came from the outside. A purple figure pushed the door open and came in. She looked at Lu Li and said, "As long as you join the external clan of the family, I can ask the family to give you better weapons, let alone this broken saber." Miss E. Lu Li looked up at the purple-robed lady with a bitter smile. Lu Yi came and offered to give him a good weapon, but he couldn't accept her conditions. "Lu Li." Lu Yi swayed her slender waist and walked over. She said seriously, "Your talent is very abnormal. As long as you join the Lu family's external clan, I will ask the family to train you with all their resources. You can have any elixirs, Xian skills, weapons you want. In a couple of years, you will definitely become a powerful warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. You might even reach the Soul Pond realm. By then, you will be one of the few powerful warriors in the Wuling County. The Lu family will give you enough power and status. Even if you want to marry a young lady of the main family, it is not impossible." Lu Yi's offer was very attractive. She even said that he had a chance to become the son-in-law of the Lu family. For regular warriors, this was a great temptation. After all, the Lu family was the overlord of the Wuling County. Becoming the son-in-law of the Lu family would be like ascending to heaven in one step. "Sorry," Lu Li shook his head with a bitter smile. Lu Ling's words were very clear. Even if this beautiful and honorable lady said that she could marry him, let alone a young lady of the main family, he would not waver. Then never mind. Lu Yi's expression became a bit gloomy. She looked at the broken saber in Lu Li's hand and asked, "You like this saber?" "Actually, this saber is useless now. If it is broken, there is no way to repair it, so it is no longer a Xian artifact. I cannot pour Xian energy into it, let alone release Xian skills." Lu Li said with determination, "I don't care if it is a Xian artifact or not. I just like this saber. Lady E, can you help me this time? I, Lu Li, will remember this kindness and I will die for it." Looking at Lu Li's passionate eyes, Lu Yi remembered the scene when they were attacked by the red phosphorus hawks and Lu Li rushed over with a wooden stick in his hand. She thought about it and said, "Patriarch He, I will exchange this saber for him. You can deduct the amount of contribution points from me." Lu Yi took out a token. The gray-haired old man looked at Lu Li with curiosity and took over the token to pour Xian energy in. The word "inner" lit up on Lu Yi's token, and there was a row of numbers behind it. However, the numbers soon changed. There was 100 less. Lu Li asked with curiosity, What is this? Lu Yi explained, the number is contribution points. It is the same for any family. You will get contribution points for doing things for the family, fighting and carrying out missions. If you join the external clan, you will get 10 contribution points for free every month. There are also contribution points for the guest clan, but only 1 per month. With contribution points, you can exchange for weapons, pellets, xian skills, and even the ownership of a small town in the tribe. Oh, I see. Lu Li suddenly understood. It seemed that when he was carrying the coffins, those patrolling escorts of the Lu family also got contribution points. These big families were fair and just. Contribution points could be exchanged for all sorts of good things if one worked hard, did something, or bled a lot. Okay, you can go back now. We will depart for the ice abyss tomorrow morning. Lu Yi seemed to have lost the mood to talk as her persuasion was futile. She turned around and left. Lu Li, on the other hand, walked back to the guest clan excitedly with the Heaven Kylan sword in his hand. When Qing Chu got back to the guest clan, he saw Lu Li carrying the Heaven Kylan sword on his back. Qing Chu stared at Lu Li with a strange look after he learned that it was Lu Yi who did the exchange for him. He said, "Kid, not bad. Lady Yi is the pearl of the Wu Ling County, the well-deserved #1 lady of the Lu family. She can make it to the Spirit Sea realm at any time. If you can win her heart, you will definitely have a meteoric rise in the future." Lu Li's face turned red. He didn't even know how to reply. Qing Chu laughed and left. Lu Li walked into his own yard. Lu Ling was sitting in the yard. She must have heard the conversation between Lu Li and Qing Chu. She teased, "Lu Li, which Lady Yi do you like? This lady is not bad. Her looks are so. She can be a good match for you, just barely. Of course, it is impossible for her to be your official wife. Lu Li, you must remember that your official wife must be born in a prestigious family. She must be a legitimate lady of at least a 5th-rank royal family. Only then can she be a good match for you." Here we go again, Lu Li rolled his eyes. Lu Ling always left her words unsaid. She never told him the truth. If it were not Lu Ling who said this, Lu Li would have slapped her to wake her up. Lu Li closed the door of the outer yard. Immediately, he caressed the saber in his hand with passion. Then he mobilized his xian energy to his right hand. He felt the strength in his entire hand increase. He swung the Heaven Kylan sword and started to wield it. Swish, swish, his saber moved faster and faster. The blade made a shrill noise as it pierced through the air. The more he waved, the more excited he became. He wandered around in the yard, stirring up the dust in the air. Lu Ling was so choked that she quickly walked into her room. Okay. After he practiced for a while, Lu Li stopped. His eyes were glistening and his face was flushed. He was completely immersed in joy. He looked back to Lu Ling, who was standing at the door, and said with a grin, "Sis, with this saber, I am confident that I can fight against warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm." Lu Ling walked out and handed over a black crossbow. She smiled gently and said, "With this death-seeking crossbow, you should be invincible among warriors below the Spirit Sea realm. Remember, no matter who you are, as long as you are an enemy, do not show mercy. Kill them first." Chapter 30. The next morning, Lu Li got up early. He waved goodbye to Lu Ling and went to wait outside the west gate by himself. Outside the west gate stood rows of martial artists. At a glance, there were at least 300 people. All of them were wearing silver-white armors of the Lu family and riding on big horses. At the front were 7 or 8 on silver wolves. Lu Yi was not here yet. Clearly, it was not time yet. The Lu family is really powerful. Lu Li glanced over and saw that the 300 warriors were all at the Xian Wu realm. There were quite a few at the latter stage of the Xian Wu realm. It was not just 1 or 2, but 300. They were only some of the external clan warriors of the Lu family. The county guardians in the city were all warriors of the Lu family. Every realm is as difficult as climbing up to the sky. Looks like the old saying is right. There were more than 300 warriors, but Luli sensed none of them were at the Spirit Sea realm. He exclaimed to himself. The living environment of the northern desert was harsh. Everyone worshipped martial arts. All the people in the tribes were the best hunters when they were young. However, only 1 or 2 out of 10 warriors could cultivate Xian energy. Among the hundreds of warriors at the Xian Wu realm, only 1 or 2 could make it to the Spirit Sea realm. Xian Wu, Spirit Sea, Soul Pond, Fate Wheel, Eternal Realm, Noble Lord Realm and Human Sovereign Realm. It was extremely difficult to make a breakthrough in any realm. Once a warrior made a breakthrough, his strength would be enhanced by several times. His status and power would be enhanced as well. For example, when Diba made it to the Spirit Sea realm, he was immediately recruited by the Zhao family at the Ice Abyss. Later, he made a great contribution and was promoted to the position of external clan patriarch. Granted, there were many external clan patriarchs in a big family. But to become a patriarch, one's status in the family would be greatly enhanced and the resources he could get would be multiplied. Punk, come here. Lu Yu, one of the Silver Wolf escorts, saw Luli standing outside the west gate in a daze. He shouted to him and then said to a man behind him, "Give him a horse." Luli hurried over in strides. Someone brought him a horse. Luli scratched his head. He did not know how to ride a horse. Back in the tribe, he dared not to be so high-profile. He had never ridden a horse. You don't know how? Learn by yourself. Just don't fall and get trampled to death. Lu Yu looked at Luli but didn't give him any more advice. Luli didn't know what was good for him and insisted on joining the guest clan, which made Lu Yu unhappy. Luli touched his nose and hopped onto the horse. He dared not to move, so he could only hold the reins tightly. Da-da-da. After a while, 3 silver wolves dashed out from the west gate. The woman in the lead was wearing silver soft armor and a red cloak. Her face was as pretty as a flower and as delicate as jade. She looked valiant and formidable. The young warriors of the Lu family looked at her with burning eyes. Today, Lu Yi did not wear a fox fur coat. Instead, she wore a soft armor. Her exquisite figure was not covered, and instead, she had a different kind of charm. She glanced over everyone and stopped at Luli for a bit. Making sure that he was here, she shouted, "Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in 1 day. The Lu family has been treating you well. This is the most dangerous moment for the Lu family. Please lend us a helping hand to flatten the frigid cloud mountain." Flatten the frigid cloud mountain. Many people waved their arms and shouted. Their voices resounded in the wild, making Lu Li's ears ring. The horses were restless and almost threw Luli off. "All right, let's go. Our destination is the frigid cloud mountain." Lu Yi switched to a silver long sword. She unsheathed it and pointed it to the north. She took the lead on her silver wolf and galloped away. The 10 silver wolf escorts behind her immediately followed. Behind them were the 300 warriors of the Lu family. They galloped away in an orderly manner. Giddy up, giddy up! Luli did not know how to ride a horse. He was still at the front of the team, but he slowly moved to the back. Looking at the team that was going away, Luli became anxious. He hurriedly patted the horse's rump to urge it to move forward. Diba was going to tear him into pieces, and the warriors of the Zhao family would not let him go either. If he were to leave the team, he would die for sure. Even if one did not eat pork, he had seen pigs run. Luli followed suit. Finally, the horse managed to gallop away with the team. However, he was a bit miserable. He kept bumping up and down. He fell off several times and had to jump up and get back on the horse again. Ha ha ha, look at that man! He is from the Lu family? How come he looks like a clown? Many pedestrians on the street laughed when they saw Luli getting off the horse from time to time, running like a monkey and jumping back on the horse. Warriors were so common in the Wu Ling County. Who didn't know how to ride a horse? After being thrown off for more than a dozen times, Lu Li finally lost his temper. He raised his hand and slapped the head of the horse. How strong was Lu Li? Otherwise, the horse's head would have been smashed into pieces. Hiss, the horse was in pain. It raised its front hooves high and neighed to the sky. Lu Li fell off again. However, when he got back on the horse was much more obedient this time. It ran more steadily, so Lu Li didn't get thrown off. Go now, or I will slap you to death. Lu Li stared at the horse and shouted in a deep voice. He emitted a faint killing intent. The horse seemed to be scared and behaved. It ran wildly and caught up with the team. Soon, they got out of the North City gate. Lu Li had mastered some tricks. He swayed his body with the rhythm of the horse so that he would not be thrown off and he would not be as tired as before. Once they were out of the city, Lu Yi steered the silver wolf to a stop. She waited for everyone to arrive before glancing back. She looked back when she saw that Lu Li had caught up with her so quickly. Lu Yu just told her that Lu Li did not know how to ride a horse, so she stopped at the city gate. She didn't expect that in such a short time, Lu Li had learned it. Also, it seemed that he could control the horse now. Let's go. She didn't say anything. She galloped towards the north again. Hundreds of people followed her closely, running in two neat lines. The cold light reflected off the armors formed two lines, meandering away. Lu Li is out of the county. He is with Lu Yi. They must have gone to the frigid cloud mountain. Two middle-aged men in civilian attire at the city gate looked at the portrait. They quickly walked into the county and entered a yard. After a while, a goshawk flew out from the yard. It soared into the clouds and flew straight to the north. Two scouts walked out from the yard. They looked towards the north with their snake-like eyes. One of them sneered and said, "Ha ha, Lu Li, how dare you leave the county? You will die even if you go with Lu Yi." Yes. The other one nodded and said, "The frigid cloud mountain is a mess right now. Several families and forces, dozens of tribes are all there. Xian beasts are everywhere. It is said that Patriarch D has taken elixirs and reached the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm? It is too easy to kill him. Lu Yi can't be with him every day, can she?" The first one sneered and said, "So what if Lu Yi is with him? The Lu family has gone through a great change. So many people have died. We, the Zhao family, have established a relationship with Lord Yu. Maybe in a few months, the Wu Ling County will be ours." "That's true," the other one echoed. "Even if Patriarch D kills Lu Li by force, what can the Lu family say? Let's go. Our mission is accomplished. We don't have to worry about what happens next." Chapter 31. The 300 horses galloped in the barren mountains, causing the ground to shake. The wind and snow had stopped for some time, but it had not melted yet. Luckily, the snow on the road was not thick, so it was not a hindrance for them to walk on. In just 4 hours, Lu Li had completely mastered the horse. He had been observing the warriors of the Lu family in front of him, learning and mastering the knack of riding. One must not use too much strength to ride a horse, but vigor. Not only must the horse cooperate with the rider, but the rider must also cooperate with the horse. In this way, the horse would run with less effort, and it would recognize the new master on its back. At noon, the team stopped to rest by the Black Woods. The warriors of the Lu family started a fire to roast meat. Lu Li was not familiar with the warriors of the Lu family, and nobody paid any attention to him. He had to sit under a tree and eat the dried meat Lu Ling gave him. In the distance, Lu Yi was surrounded by a group of people, like stars surrounding the moon. She looked over but didn't ask Lu Li to join her to eat. Lu Li, on the other hand, would not ask for trouble. He ate the dried meat by himself and listened to the chatter of several warriors not far away. This time, those big families are in deep trouble. Yes, yes. In order to get the origin blood essence of the Beast King, they made us suffer. My third brother died in the battle at the frigid Cloud Mountain. The Beast King is comparable to a powerful warrior of the human sovereign realm. Even though this Beast King had just given birth and was at the end of its life, how powerful was it? I think many of the big families have died as well. It has been such a long time, and they still can't kill the Beast King. When can the beast upheaval be suppressed? If this goes on, all the families in the Wu Ling County will be wiped out. Lu Li gained a lot of information from the chatter of the warriors of the Lu family. He also understood the reason for the beast upheaval. According to the warriors, a Beast King in the Ice Abyss was about to die of old age, but it gave birth, which hurt its vitality. When the super families learned about this, they all swarmed over, trying to get the origin blood essence and the precious materials of the internal pellet in the body of the Beast King. However, they underestimated the power of the Beast King. They were beaten back several times and suffered heavy casualties. The Beast King was enraged. It ordered countless Xian beasts to attack and caused the beast upheaval. Even though there were many powerful warriors of the superfamilies, how could they contain all the Xian beasts? Therefore, he had to rely on the families in the Wu Ling County, big or small. All the families in the Wu Ling County had been mobilized. There were also adult males from all the tribes. At the moment, they formed several lines of defense on the frigid Cloud Mountain to defend against the beast upheaval. Beast Monarch, Lu Li couldn't help but exclaim. The Beast King was a Xian beast of the 7th rank. Maybe one strike from it could destroy the Wu Ling County. The battle between the experts of the super families and the Beast King was a spectacular and terrifying scene. After resting for an hour, the group set off again. This time, they only stopped at dusk. There was a huge mountain in front of them like a natural moat. According to the warriors of the Lu family, this was the Frigid Cloud Mountain. After crossing the Frigid Cloud Mountain, they would be in the territory of the Ice Abyss. Da-da-da. A few silver wolves galloped over from afar and exchanged a few words with Lu Yi. Lu Yi waved her hand and said, "Let's go to the Cold Cloud Canyon. Our mission this time is to guard the canyon for half a month." Lu Yi led the group along the winding mountain path. When the sky was completely dark, the group arrived outside a canyon. There were many tents and many warriors of the Lu family. Horrifying. Facing the torch, Lu Li looked around and was secretly shocked. Blood stains and bones of Xian beasts were everywhere at the entrance of the canyon. The boulder ground at the entrance of the canyon was full of scratches. Clearly, many horrifying battles had taken place here. Many warriors in the camp were badly wounded. Some had broken hands and feet. Naturally, there were people who came to settle down the warriors of the Lu family. Lu Li was assigned to a big tent. The smell of herbs filled the tent. 5 wounded people were lying on the ground. They didn't pay any attention to Lu Li when they saw him. Lu Li ate some dried food. He didn't care about anything else. He sat on the bed with his legs crossed and started to cultivate. For him, every minute and every second was precious. Every bit of improvement in his fighting capacity would increase his chances of survival. After cultivating for half the night, Lu Li fell into a deep sleep. At dawn, noises came from the canyon along with the roars of Xian beasts. Lu Li got up and looked outside. He saw more than 20 warriors of the Lu family at the entrance of the canyon, fighting against the Xian beasts that were roaring and rushing out. Lu Li was not a warrior of the Lu family. He was only here to participate in the assessment mission. Therefore, nobody organized for him to join the battle. Lu Li thought about it and ate some dried meat hastily. He carried his Heaven Kailan sword and rushed towards the entrance of the canyon. The assessment mission was to kill 100 Xian beasts of the 1st rank or one of the 2nd rank. Clearly, the Xian beasts that came out this time were all of the 1st rank. Lu Li should be able to kill them easily. He could run into danger at any time. Who knew if there would be any accidents? Lu Li wanted to finish the mission as soon as possible. Soon, he arrived at the entrance of the canyon. He saw Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong nearby. There was also a middle-aged powerful warrior of the Lu family. Judging from his qi and energy, he should have reached the Spirit Sea realm. However, they didn't make any moves. They just watched from afar. Lady Yi, I want to join the fight. Lu Li walked over to Lu Yi and asked. The latter nodded slightly. Lu Li immediately rushed towards the entrance of the canyon like a ferocious tiger. Woo, the canyon was not wide. Only more than a dozen Xian beasts could pass through side by side. From afar, Lu Li could see that the inside of the canyon was full of Xian beasts. All of them were big black wolves. These wolves were different from regular ones. They had sharp horns on their heads, and there were some bone spurs on their back. Their tusks were especially long. They were twice the size of regular wolves, comparable to the silver wolf that Lu Yi was riding on. Iron spur wolf. This was one of the more common Xian beasts. Lu Li had seen them before. Of course, if he ran into one, he would run away as soon as he could. The reason was that the iron spur wolves would either not come out at all, or when they did, there would be at least more than 100 of them. If he were surrounded, he would die for sure. Lu Li rushed over and squeezed into the crowd. He saw an iron spur wolf howling towards him. He mobilized his Xian energy, swung his Heaven Kailan sword and cut at the wolf's head. Bang! Lu Li had more than 11,000 pounds of strength. Now that he used his Xian energy, his strength was increased by several thousand pounds. Plus, the Heaven Kailan sword weighed more than 2,000 pounds. Therefore, this cut was so powerful that it smashed the iron spur wolf away. Also, its head was smashed in the middle and turned into a pile of rotten meat. Nice! A warrior of the Lu family cheered loudly. He was also in the middle stage of the Xian martial arts realm, but it was difficult for him to deal with the iron spur wolf. As soon as Lu Li arrived, he killed an iron spur wolf. Without a doubt, Lu Li had a powerful reinforcement, which greatly reduced the pressure on him. Lu Yi and the others were all paying attention to this side. She and Old Hong both sighed. The Divine Sea Realm Lu family outer hall elder frowned and asked, Miss Yi, this young man is quite strong and he is also at the middle stage of the Xian Wu realm. He is a good seedling. Why haven't you recruited him into the outer hall? It's not just not bad. Lu Yi shook her head and said, I reckon that it took him less than a month to cultivate his Xian Qi to the middle stage of the Xian martial realm. His talent is very terrifying. The outer hall elder's eyes flashed with even more doubt. Elder Hong explained, It's not that young mistress doesn't want to recruit him, but this kid only wants to join the guest hall. No matter how we persuade him, he won't agree. You don't know how to tell good from bad. The outer hall elder's eyes turned cold, and he snorted and said, Without the family's resources to nurture, what future can there be no matter how talented he is? This kid is too stupid. Spirit Sea, Soul Pond, Fate Wheel, Everlasting Realm. The advancement of any realm was extremely difficult. For example, condensing the Spirit Sea. If there was help from a big family and precious pellets and mystical grasses were given, the speed of condensing the Spirit Sea would be greatly increased. On the contrary, it would be very difficult to collect mystical materials by oneself. Without the help of mystical materials, condensing the Spirit Sea would be very difficult as well. There were many warriors of the Xian Wu realm in each tribe, but the number of powerful warriors of the Spirit Sea realm was pitifully small. For example, Di Ba was the only warrior of the Spirit Sea realm in the Dilong tribe. It was because of the lack of resources. Why did Di Ba want to join the Zhao family and be ordered around by the Zhao family? It was also because the Zhao family had resources that the Dilong tribe didn't have, which could speed up his cultivation and make him stronger. He is really stupid. Lu Yi sighed again and said helplessly, If he insists on doing things his own way, I won't care about him anymore. If he is assassinated by Di Ba, he has only himself to blame. P.S. Collect. Remember to collect when you see it. Chapter 32. Ha! Outside the frigid cloud valley, Luli was ferocious beyond belief. Every time he waved his Heaven Kylan sword, an iron spur wolf would be wounded or killed. He didn't know any Xian skills, so he relied on his terrifying strength and the 2,000-kilogram Heavenly Kylan blade to hack and slash. Although this Heaven Kylan blade was broken, it was still a peerless treasure blade. It was made of a unique material and was exceptionally sharp. It could cut through iron like mud. Luli had a freakish swordsmanship. The speed of his moves was so fast that even if he was carrying the Heaven Kylan sword that weighed more than 2,000 pounds, he could make 3 to 5 moves in every breath. Of course, he did not use his full strength when fighting the Iron Spur Wolf. Every time he slashed twice, the Iron Spur Wolf would either die or be injured. Less than an hour, Luli had killed 27 Iron Spur Wolves. He was much faster than the warriors of the Lu family next to him. Even warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm were not as fast as him. Hundreds of Iron Spur Wolves' corpses were piled up at the entrance of the valley. One of the warriors of the Lu family was bitten to death and several were injured. The Iron Spur Wolves finally retreated into the valley and disappeared. Retreat! Clean up the battlefield! Lu Yi shouted in a low voice and turned into her own tent, no longer paying attention to it. Elder Hong sent people to collect the wolf corpses to treat the injured warriors of the Lu family. Lu Li stepped back with his saber in his hand. The external clan patriarch of the Spirit Sea realm walked over and said with a solemn expression, "Your name is Lu Li?" Lu Li wiped off the blood on his face and nodded. "Yes, my lord. I am Kai Hui, one of the external clan elders of the Lu family. You can call me Elder Kai." The external clan patriarch was more than 40 years old. He was tall and sturdy, wearing the silver armor of the Lu family. He had a long saber in his hand and looked imposing. He stared at Lu Li and said, "Come with me." Lu Li followed Patriarch Kai to a big tent. Patriarch Kai went in and sat on the main seat. He looked at Lu Li and asked, "Punk, how much do you know about cultivation?" Lu Li touched his nose embarrassedly and said, "Not really. I only know the realms of cultivation. I know a bit about the Xian Wu realm." "Yes." Elder Kai nodded and said, "You are now in the Xian Wu state and have just entered the door of martial arts. When you reach the peak of the Xian Wu realm, you will need to condense the Spirit Sea and break through to the Spirit Sea realm." Lu Li understood. He nodded and looked at Patriarch Kai. The latter paused for a moment, then said, "Once all the meridians in the body are opened, and the profound energy is abundant, you can use the profound energy to condense the divine sense sea." It was easy to say but very difficult to do. Out of 1,000,000 ordinary tribe martial artists, only 1,000 can successfully condense the divine sea. Do you know why? Lu Li was more than happy to have someone explain to him about cultivation. He cupped his fists and said, "I don't know. Please enlighten me, Patriarch Kai." Lu Li's attitude made Patriarch Kai look better. He explained, "It is easy to build Spirit Sea, but it can collapse easily. Without a good technique or precious pills, the chances of successfully condensing the deity sea will be very low." Lu Li suddenly understood. Patriarch Kai stood up and continued, "As for trying to reach the Soul Pond realm from the Spirit Sea realm, it is even more difficult. The Soul Pond was a pond built in the soul. The soul was the foundation of a human being. Not to mention breaking through the realm, the soul could easily be destroyed. Therefore, to break through to the Soul Pond realm, precious pellets and herbs of the soul were needed. Each of these pills and spirit herbs is worth an astronomical price, comparable to the accumulated wealth of a tribe for 100 years. The Fate Wheel realm is about cultivating the Fate Wheel. I think you have heard about it. One Fate Wheel for a warrior can increase his life by 500 years. A warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm has 3 Fate Wheels and has 1,500 years of life. But you may not know this. The amount of mystical materials needed to cultivate 1 Fate Wheel is at least 30% of the wealth accumulated by the Lu family over the years. If 3 warriors of the Lu family were to cultivate Fate Wheel, then the Lu family would become penniless at once. Also, the chance of the 3 warriors to cultivate Fate Wheel is less than 10%. In other words, all the wealth of the Lu family could not produce 1 warrior of the Fate Wheel realm. Ah! Luli was shocked. Nobody taught him about cultivation before. This was the first time he had heard of this. He was shocked. He knew that the path of Wu Dao was difficult, but he didn't expect it to be this difficult. How many mines, how many mountains of herbs, how many resources and wealth did the Lu family that had dominated the Wu Ling County for 100 years have? Only 3 warriors at the peak of the Soul Pond realm could reach the Fate Wheel realm 3 times? And this was the Fate Wheel realm. How many resources would the Eternal Realm, the Noble Lord Realm, and the Human Sovereign Realm need? Could the wealth of 1,000 or even 10,000 of the Lu family be enough? Patriarch Kai said nothing. After Lu Li calmed down, Patriarch Kai continued, "Do you understand now? Without the support of a big family, no warrior can achieve anything on his own. When you are young, you can cultivate the fastest. But how can you get so many resources by yourself? By the time you get enough resources, you will be old. It is almost impossible for you to reach higher realms. If you want the support of a big family, you must be loyal to the family. There is no free lunch in the world. Big families cannot waste resources on a guest warrior who may leave the family at any time. So, if you want to reach higher realms and get more power and status, you have to join the external clan of a family and pledge your loyalty to the family. Do you understand?" Patriarch Kai finally revealed his purpose after a long talk. Lu Li understood, but he could only force a smile, cupped his fists and said, "Thank you for your guidance, Patriarch Kai. I will think about it seriously." Lu Li's words were clearly perfunctory. Patriarch Kai's expressions turned awful. He waved his hand and said, "Then do what you want. Later, you will be free to fight." Lu Li walked out with his Heaven Kailan sword in his hand. He went back to his own tent to rest and digest the shocking news brought by Patriarch Kai. After an hour, there came another roar of Xian beasts from the valley. Lu Li rushed out with his saber in his hand and continued to fight. He had just killed 27 Xian beasts. If everything went well, he could finish the assessment in 1 or 2 days. By then, he could go back to the county to hand in the task. Once he entered the county, his safety would be guaranteed. After all, he was now the guest warrior of the Lu family. Di Ba could not openly attack him in the county. This time, Louis did not come out to observe the fight. Patriarch Kai did. He organized dozens of people to stop the Xian beast. It was still iron spur wolves that rushed out of the valley. Lu Li was experienced in fighting this kind of Xian beast. He could easily kill one iron spur wolf in 1 or 2 moves. Their speed was too fast. More than 20 iron spur wolves were killed. The outside of the valley was filled with dead bodies. The wolves retreated and Lu Li retreated to take a rest. This time, there was a long interval between the wolves. They attacked again at dusk. Lu Li went out to fight again. He was so ferocious that many Lu family warriors had a whole new level of respect for him. 83. When the wolves retreated, Lu Li retreated with excitement in his eyes. He had already killed 83 iron spur wolves, and he was not injured at all. If everything went well, he could finish the assessment and go back to the county tomorrow. Lu Li's treatment had improved because of his bravery and fighting skills during the day. At night, someone brought him grilled meat and liquor. Lu Li enjoyed a hearty meal and sat on the bed with his legs crossed to cultivate. He was still cultivating the 7th energy channel. He had only opened up more than half of it. It would take him another day or 2 to completely open it up. Lu Li cultivated until midnight. Just as he was about to go to bed, there came a noise outside along with countless wolves' howls. After a while, Patriarch Kai shouted, "Wolf King is leading a team to attack. Everyone, fight!" Just as Patriarch Kai finished his words, several miserable cries came out along with many roars of terror. Luli hurriedly rushed out of the tent with his Heaven Kylan's sword in his hand. "Oh no, the line of defense is broken through." Luli looked into the distance. In the dim light of the night, he saw countless iron spur wolves had rushed into the camp. At the forefront was a huge wolf king with a height of more than 3 feet. It was unstoppable. Its ferocious chi and energy enveloped the entire camp. There were people guarding the entrance of the valley day and night. Now it was broken through by the Wolf King. More iron spur wolves swarmed over. At this moment, there were at least more than 200 iron spur wolves. The wolves in the valley were still coming. Block the entrance of the valley. Otherwise, if all the wolves get out, we will all die. Patriarch Kai roared and rushed towards the Wolf King with his saber in his hand. Lu Yi clenched her teeth and shouted to Patriarch Hong and the others, "Someone, come with me to block the entrance of the valley." Chapter 33. Lu Li followed Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong. Many warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm followed them. There were at least 40 or 50 of them. There were too many wolves. With the Wolf King leading the pack, the wolves at the back would definitely be fearless. Their charge would definitely be frighteningly powerful. It was extremely dangerous to intercept the wolf pack at the entrance of the valley. These dozens of people might not be able to return. However, as the most distinguished lady of the Lu family, Lu Yi would lead the charge. How could the warriors of the Lu family shrink back? Dozens of people slashed and killed along the way. Lu Yi, Elder Hong, and a few others wielded their profound weapons. They were unstoppable as they rushed towards the canyon. Lu Li smashed away 7 or 8 iron spur wolves with his Heaven Kylan sword and caught up with Lu Yi. Soon, a group of people arrived at the entrance of the canyon. Old Hong let out a shrill roar and his long saber danced in the sky. The dark force on the saber shone brightly and his thin body was shrouded in white light. He used a profound Xian skill, and in one move, he actually sent 4 to 5 iron spur wolves flying, and even pushed back a few iron spur wolves behind him. "Block it, don't let a single iron spur wolf get past." Lu Yi no longer used the beautiful purple whip. She held a sharp sword and rushed to the front line. She was also at the peak of the Xian Wu realm, and her fighting experience was not bad. The key was that she was full of treasures, and her Xian skills were obviously more advanced than the average warriors of the Lu family. She fought 3 iron spur wolves alone, but she did not retreat at all. All right. Elder Hong and Lu Yi's outstanding performance slowed down the wolves' charge. The mouth of the canyon was too narrow. As long as they successfully blocked it, the iron spur wolves behind them would not be able to participate in the battle. Once Elder Kai and his men killed the Wolf King and the rest of the wolves, the situation would be stabilized. Ha! Lu Li was standing right next to Lu Yi. He didn't brandish his Heaven Kylan sword in any fancy moves, just the simplest cuts. His speed was too fast, and his strength was too great. Every time he smashed, an iron spur wolf would be smashed to death. His efficiency of killing iron spur wolves was not any slower than Mr. Hong's. Woo-woo, when the wolves in the canyon saw that the road ahead was blocked, they all looked up to the sky and howled. The Wolf King that was fighting Elder Kai in the distance also howled angrily. All the iron spur wolves in the canyon went berserk, and their attacks became even more ferocious. A warrior of the Lu family was attacked by 3 iron spur wolves at the same time. He couldn't defend himself and his legs were badly mutilated. Then his head was crushed by the iron spur wolf. He screamed in despair. "Lu Li, hold them off." Lu Yi panicked. If there was a gap, they would be separated by the wolf pack, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Out of the way, Luli was chosen. With a roar, he passed the 3 retreating warriors of the Lu family and rushed forward like a sharp sword. His Heaven Kylan sword hacked at the waist of an iron spur wolf that was trying to rush out. He was cut in half. This iron spur wolf was cut in half at the waist by Luli. Luli did not rest for even a moment. He continued to attack the other 2 iron spur wolves. Seeing that the 2 warriors of the Lu family didn't move, he said angrily, "What are you waiting for? I'll be the main attacker, you guys support me." Alright. The 2 of them came to their senses and quickly coordinated with Luli to attack the left and right side. Luli managed to block 3 or 4 iron spur wolves by himself. His strength seemed to be inexhaustible. Every time he struck, he could kill or injure an iron spur wolf. Kill. If we can hold on this time, we'll get 50 contribution points each. If we die in battle, we'll get 10 times the compensation. Lu Yi shouted in a delicate voice. All the warriors of the Lu family suddenly became spirited and their morale was boosted. Regular warriors of the external clan could get 10 contribution points for free every month. Now they could get 50 contribution points. If they died, the compensation would be 10 times the compensation. How could they not die for it? On the other side, Patriarch Kai had surrounded the Wolf King with several warriors. Clearly, they were gaining the upper hand and suppressing the Wolf King. After a moment of panic, the people in the camp finally stabilized their position. Gradually, they began to fight back. If nothing went wrong, in an hour, all the wolves outside would be wiped out. The situation was stable, but the situation at the entrance of the valley was not so optimistic. The wolves were too ferocious. They kept coming at the Lu family fearlessly. Lu Yi brought 40 or 50 warriors of the Lu family. At least 7 or 8 of them were at the peak of the Xian Wu realm. However, in the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, nearly 10 people had died. Most of the rest were wounded, including Lu Li. Lu Li's shoulders, waist and thighs were scratched by the claws of the wolves. Blood was flowing out. He had been fighting for a long time, and his physical strength had been exhausted. His attacking speed was not as fast as before. However, the dead bodies of the wolves in front of him had been piled up into a small hill. At least 20 or 30 iron spur wolves were killed by him. His entire body was covered in wolf blood, making him a man of blood. "Dude, these are healing pellets." Patriarch Hong threw 2 white pellets to Luli. He grabbed them with one hand and swallowed them directly. He even swallowed the wolf blood on the corner of his mouth. Luli was bleeding in many places. He knew very well that if he did not treat his wounds in time, he would lose his physical strength even faster. By then, he could be bitten to death by the iron spur wolves if he was not careful. Buzzing. The moment Luli swallowed the pellets, the animal tooth pendant on his neck glowed. The glint was very obvious in the dim light of the night. Luli noticed the abnormality, but he did not have the time to look at it. The 2 warriors of the Lu family next to him glanced over with curiosity. However, the animal tooth pendant was only glowing. There was no fluctuation of Xian artifact. The 2 warriors didn't pay much attention to it after a few glances. This animal tooth pendant is glowing? What kind of treasure is this? Luli could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. Every time he took the body refinement pellet, he would fall into a deep sleep. Therefore, he did not know that the animal tooth pendant could glow. There were too many iron spur wolves. If he was not careful, he could be bitten to death. Luli had no time to think about it. He concentrated on the fight. As time went by, Luli soon found a problem, a big one. The wounds on his body had started to scab over. Many injured warriors of the Lu family had taken healing pellets, but they only stopped bleeding. Some of them even twisted their bodies so violently that blood was still oozing out of their wounds. However, Lu Li's wounds were starting to scab over? Is it because of the animal tooth pendant? Luli thought about it and tucked the torn robe on his left shoulder into his collar to cover up the animal tooth pendant. Whether it was because of the animal tooth pendant or not, the animal tooth pendant was glowing at the moment. It was better not to let more people see it. If it were a rare treasure, it would be troublesome if others coveted it. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, Luli found that not only his wounds had scabbed over, but his physical strength had also recovered a lot. He felt as if he had just started the fight with inexhaustible strength. "Hoi!" Luli shouted in excitement. He waved his Heaven Kylan sword and smashed away 3 iron spur wolves in a row. His momentum became stronger again, which attracted the attention of Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong from afar. Lu Yi was wearing a Xian artifact soft armor, so she was not injured. She and Patriarch Hong glanced over and found that Lu Li's shoulder that was scratched had scabbed over. He had been fighting so hard for such a long time, but he had become more valiant? The two looked at each other, speechless. This guy's physique was too abnormal. It was already strange when he took the body refinement pellet. Now, he only took 2 healing pellets for a while, and he was as vigorous as before? What a pity! Soon, Lu Yi's eyes dimmed. Luli was only willing to join the guest clan. Otherwise, with the full support of the Lu family, he might become a powerful warrior. He doesn't know what's good for him. Patriarch Hong, don't give him healing pellets later. Thinking of this, Lu Yi became indignant again. She told Patriarch Hong in a low voice. She had made up her mind to let Luli suffer and let him know that without the support of a big family, he would not be able to do anything. Chapter 34. Due to Lu Li's bravery, Patriarch Hong, Lu Yi, and the warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm, the wolves in the valley could not break through the line of defense. The dead bodies of the wolves in the valley formed a natural line of defense, which slowed down the speed of the wolves and made it easier to defend. Of course, Lu Yi's side suffered heavy casualties as well. Less than 30 of the 40 or 50 people were left. Apart from Lu Yi and Lu Li, who had treasures all over their bodies, everyone else was wounded. Even Patriarch Hong, who was experienced in battles, was injured. Fortunately, the situation outside was completely stabilized. More than half of the wolves were killed. The Wolf King was wounded under the siege of Patriarch Kai and the warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm. It could die at any moment. There are several lines of defense in front of the valley. Powerful warriors of all the families are gathered there. How did the Wolf King get here? While attacking, Patriarch Kai looked towards the valley with confusion. There were many lines of defense in the frigid cloud mountain. Patriarch Kai's side was the outermost line of defense. They were only responsible for killing the Xian beasts of the lowest rank. Otherwise, he, a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm, would not be the only one here. The first few lines of defense were all powerful warriors who were responsible for killing the powerful Xian beasts. They had been here for a long time, but this was the first time they encountered a Wolf King at the peak of the second rank. Therefore, Patriarch Kai was worried. Could it be that the line of defense was broken through? Woo woo woo! Right at that moment, 2 loud howls came from the valley. The howls echoed in the valley for a long time. When Elder Kai heard this howl, her body trembled and she immediately cried out in alarm, "Young miss, run! 2 more Wolf Kings are coming!" Swish, swish, swish. All the warriors of the Lu family changed their expressions. 1 Wolf King had almost wiped them out. Now, there were 2 more? Who could stop them? If they didn't run, they would all die here. Something is wrong, something big. Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with anger. There were several lines of defense on the other side of the valley with many powerful warriors. Even if the lines of defense were broken through, there would at least be a warning. However, from the appearance of the first Wolf King to the appearance of the 2 Wolf Kings, there was no news. There were only 2 explanations. Either all the powerful warriors at the front line of defense were dead, or someone deliberately let the 3 wolf kings come. Retreat. No matter what the situation was, Lu Yi and the others had no way out. They could only escape first, and try to escape as many as they could. Run. Lu Li didn't hesitate. He had killed more than 100 iron spur wolves by now. His mission had been completed. If he didn't run now, he would be waiting for death. Swish! Patriarch Hong led the 3 warriors at the peak of the Xian Wu realm to protect Lu Yi and rushed out of the valley. Lu Li followed closely behind. The protection around Lu Yi was definitely the strongest. Perhaps even Elder Kai would come to protect her. It was the safest to stay by her side. The escorts of the Lu family outside transformed into birds and beasts and ran towards all directions. Lu Yi and Lu Li had just gotten out of the valley when 2 huge iron spur wolves with a pack of iron spur wolves whooshed out from afar. "Miss, you go first. I'll bring up the rear." Elder Kai roared angrily and sent the first wolf king flying. Then, he fearlessly charged towards the other 2 wolf kings. He knew very well that if he didn't stall the 2 wolf kings, none of the warriors of the Lu family would be able to escape. "Elder Kai, take care." Lu Yi let out a sorrowful roar and led Old Hong and the rest towards the left side of the mountain range. The mountain range was actually on the south side. There was no road on the left side, so it would be very difficult to walk. However, if they went towards the south, they would die even faster. How could they outrun the Iron Spur Wolf Kings? Sure enough, the wolf pack ran in a straight line. The warriors of the Lu family that were running towards the south were soon overwhelmed by the wolf pack. Miserable cries came one after another. The night was hazy, so they couldn't see clearly. Lu Yi and the others didn't dare to look too long. They just ran into the mountains. Lu Yi and the others had made the right choice. The mountain range was hard to walk on, but it was much safer. In the eyes of the Iron Spur Wolves, all humans were the same. Naturally, they wouldn't go after them. There was not enough light at night, and there were many thorns and poisonous thorns in the mountains. Apart from Lu Yi, the rest of the 7 or 8 people were suffering. However, no one dared to stop. There were so many wolves and they were endless. Soon, the wolves would spread to an area with a radius of more than 30 miles. They were still bleeding. The wolves would follow the blood trail and kill them. Blood trail. Patriarch Hong remembered this. He quickly handed out healing pellets to stop the bleeding. He looked at Lu Li, who was following behind, and handed him 2 healing pellets as well. Lu Li had just taken 2 healing pellets. The wounds on his body had already scabbed over. However, there were some more wounds on his back. He only took 1 healing pellet after he took it. After a while, he quietly looked at the animal tooth pendant hidden in his collar. It was giving out a faint white light again. His wounds were healing quickly. After running for a couple of miles, the wounds had completely scabbed over. Look for a cave nearby. We will hide in it. We cannot outrun the wolves at night. Patriarch Hong said in a deep voice after they went on for another couple of miles. Lu Yi thought it made sense. Wolves' vision was not affected at night, and their noses were very sensitive. If they didn't find a place to hide, the wolves might catch up with them soon. The group immediately spread out and looked for a cave nearby. Not long after, a warrior's shout came from the southwest. "Over here!" They ran towards the sound and found a cave. It was narrow and deep, and nobody knew where it led to. "I will go and explore the way. You go and find some boulders to block the entrance." Patriarch Hong was experienced. He went into the cave alone with his saber in his hand. The others looked for boulders nearby. Lu Li found a boulder on the left side of the entrance. He tied the Heaven Kylan sword to his back and ran towards the cave with the boulder in his hand. "This boulder is nice." The boulder Lu Li brought back was enough to block the cave. Lu Yi nodded slightly. They waited at the entrance for the result of Patriarch Hong's exploration. Woo woo! before Patriarch Hong came out, there came some howls of wolves from the distance. The howls were getting closer and closer. Clearly, they were coming towards them. Go in. Lu Li blocked the entrance. Seeing that the situation was getting out of hand, Lu Yi had to make up her mind and let everyone into the cave. Lu Li dragged the boulder and blocked the entrance of the cave. Then he waved his Heaven Kailan sword and hacked at the entrance of the cave. A lot of gravel fell and blocked the entrance of the cave completely. Phew, phew! The group of people sat at the entrance and breathed heavily. Since the entrance was blocked, there was no light inside. It was so dark that it was frightening. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a muffled sound suddenly came from the cave. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they rushed into the cave one after another. However, they saw Hong Lao flying back and shouting from afar, "There are profound beasts in the cave. Stone rats, we are in big trouble this time." Squeak, squeak, many noises came from inside the cave. Since it was too dark inside, they could not see the monsters clearly. They could only hear strange noises and muffled sounds of running. "Release your Xian energy," a warrior of the Lu family shouted in a deep voice. Everyone mobilized their Xian energy and looked into the distance with the help of the dim light. What they saw made their hearts heavier. The cave was full of rats, swarming towards them like a pack of wolves. The rats were gray in color. Each of them was as big as a human head. The sharp fangs in their mouths reflected a cold glare. There was no end to them. Nobody could tell how many there were. Stone rats. They were Xian beasts of the lowest rank. They only relied on their sharp fangs to attack. However, their defense was amazing. Their gray fur was slippery and hard to hit. Chapter 35. Woo woo, the howling of the wolves outside was getting louder. Clearly, it was unrealistic to run out now. Judging from the howling, there were at least dozens of wolves. Dozens of iron spur wolves was not a problem. The problem was that once the fight started, more and more wolves would be attracted. What if the Wolf King was attracted? If they could not get out, then they had to fight to the death. They had to defend against the stone rats first and wait for the wolves to retreat before they could go out. How can there be stone rats in a place like this? Don't stone rats like to live in the Red Stone Mountains? A warrior of the Lu family murmured in confusion. Stone rats usually lived in a red stone mountain in the north. That mountain was full of stone rats, but no stone rats were seen in other places. Why would there be a group here? Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong had no time to think about this. Lu Yi ordered, "Take turns to attack and repel the stone rats." Lu Yi rushed forward. Patriarch Hong and another warrior also started to fight. The cave was too small. At most, 3 people could fight at the same time. The others had to stand behind and take turns. Lu Li stood at the back. He listened for a while to make sure that the wolves were not attacking the boulders. He looked into the cave and saw that Lu Yi and the others could fend off the stone rat. He sat down in the cave and took out some dried meat and water from the jute bag on his back to eat to replenish his strength. The other 4 looked at Lu Li eagerly. They did not have the habit of bringing food with them. There were plenty of supplies in the camp. They could only watch Lu Li eat. After fighting for half the night, everyone was exhausted. They had used up a lot of physical and mental strength. Lu Li thought about it and took out all the dried meat and water. He handed them over and said, "That's all. Share it." They looked at Lu Li in a more pleasant way. Nobody knew how long they would be trapped in the cave. The dried meat and water might be able to save their lives. Everyone split up and ate some dried meat and water. Then they sat down with their legs crossed to cultivate Xian energy and restore their strength. Stone rats were Xian beasts of the lowest rank. Lu Yi and the others could deal with them easily. However, they were hard to kill. They could only repel the stone rats one by one. If the Rat King did not appear, they would not be in danger for the time being. After an hour, Lu Yi and the others retreated. 3 people took their place. Lu Li was at the back. He paid no attention and continued to cultivate and recover. There was still some dried meat and water left. Lu forced herself to eat some in order to replenish her strength. The pack of wolves outside still hadn't retreated, howling incessantly. Fortunately, the boulder blocked the entrance of the cave, preventing the wolf pack from entering. Everyone was relatively safe. An hour later, it was Lu Li's turn. Lu Li cultivated for 2 hours and recovered some of his Xian energy. He carried the Heaven Kailan sword and rushed up. As soon as he got on the field, the situation was completely different. The stone rat's speed wasn't fast, and its attacks weren't fierce, but its defense was abnormally strong. Lu Li specialized in dealing with this kind of abnormal defense. With one swing of his saber, the stone rat would be smashed away. If it didn't die, it would be seriously injured. With the addition of Lu Li, the pressure on the other two was greatly reduced. Lu Li became braver as the fight went on. He even began to fight back. He pressed his way into the cave and smashed away the stone rats one by one. All right. The two people next to him knew what to do and began to support Lu Li. The two of them followed Lu Li's left and right sides and fought back against the horde of stone rats. All right. Patriarch Hong cheered. Lu Li, drive the stone rats back to their nest. Kill them until they don't dare to come out. Lu Yu, you go and help Lu Li. Kill! Lu Li roared. Now that the stone rats were retreating, how could he miss such a good opportunity? He had rested for 2 hours, so his physical strength and state were at their peak. Now, he led the other 3 and attacked fiercely, forcing the stone rats to retreat. The stone rats were scared of Lu Li. The Heaven Kailan sword in Lu Li's hand was too sharp, too strong, and too fast. Every time Lu Li attacked, a stone rat would be killed or injured. The cave was narrow and deep. Lu Li led Lu Yu and the other 2 to attack along the way. They had been walking for an hour and killed hundreds of stone rats, but they still hadn't reached the end of the cave. Suddenly, the cave in front of them widened, and there was a fork in the road. There were 3 tunnels. The group of stone rats didn't retreat here. They guarded the small entrance and kept making strange sounds. What's in the cave? Rare treasures or top-level elixirs? Lu Li, Lu Yu and the others looked at each other in confusion. The stone rats were guarding the tunnel, which meant that there must be something inside that the stone rats wanted to protect. Otherwise, they would keep retreating. Are there really treasures? Lu Yu's eyes lit up. Usually, there would be Xian beasts guarding the treasures. The stone rats usually lived in the Red Stone Mountain, so it was strange for them to appear here. Now, the situation was even more confusing. Let's kill our way in and see what's in there. Lu Yu's suggestion was agreed by the other 2. Lu Li was curious as well. Who didn't want to get some treasures? He took a few deep breaths, nodded and said, Let's kill our way in. You guys follow me. Lu Li led the other 3 and attacked fiercely. Lu Yu and the other 2 also risked their lives for the treasures. The stone rats were screaming and retreating. Eventually, they all retreated into the small tunnel. The entrance of the tunnel was so small that only one person could get in. Lu Yu and the others were afraid that there was a rat king inside, so they didn't dare to enter ahead of time. Lu Li had to grit his teeth and stay in the front by himself. He hacked and slashed with his Heaven Kailan sword, forcing the stone rats to retreat. After more than 30 feet, the tunnel suddenly widened and a huge cave appeared. There was an entrance at the top of the cave. Bright moonlight poured into the cave through the entrance, lighting it up. Treasures of heaven and earth! Lu Li's eyes lit up. He saw a mystical grass with 7 leaves in the middle of the cave. The mystical grass glowed under the moonlight, and there was a faint white mist surrounding it. One look and Lu Li could tell that it was not an ordinary thing. There were not many stone rats in there, only about 100. At the moment, those stone rats were gathered in a corner, not near the mystical grass. Something is wrong. Lu Li squinted his eyes. The stone rats guarded the cave with their lives, but they didn't protect the mystical grass. Instead, they gathered in the corner? Could there be more precious treasures in the corner? Luli, what is going on in there? Why are you stopping? Luli blocked the entrance so that Lu Yu and the others could not get in. Naturally, Luli shouted anxiously. Luli thought about it and rushed into the cave. Then he ran directly towards the stone rat. He was sure that there must be more precious treasures among the stone rats, far more valuable than the mystical grass with 7 leaves. While running, Luli shouted, "There is a precious mystical grass over there. I will go and distract the stone rat. You guys find a way to pick the mystical grass as soon as possible. Don't damage it." Luli rushed towards the stone rats in the corner. Lu Yu and the other 2 rushed into the cave. Their eyes were immediately attracted by the glowing mystical grass. They glanced at the stone rats in the corner and found that Luli was already fighting. Naturally, they dared not to waste any more time. They all rushed towards the mystical grass with 7 leaves. Boom, boom, boom. Luli was afraid that Lu Yu and the others would notice him, so he attacked with all his might. He waved his Heaven Kylan sword wildly, wounding and killing the stone rats along the way. Soon, he rushed into the crowd of stone rats. With the help of the dim light from the Xian energy and the hazy moonlight, Luli glanced through the crowd of stone rats. However, he did not find any treasure or mystical grass. However, he did find a special stone rat. This special stone rat was very small, only the size of a fist. It was covered with white fur without any impurities. It did not look like a stone rat but more like a kitten. Why are these stone rats surrounding a small white beast? Luli raised his Heaven Kylan sword high and was about to cut down at the small white beast. The stone rats next to him roared angrily and attacked Luli in a frenzy. On the other hand, not only did the small white beast not move, but it was also staring at Luli's neck. In its jewel-like eyes there was a bit of fear and passion. The small white beast was so adorable. It did not have any ferocious chi and energy of Xian beast. It was harmless to humans, just like a pet. Luli followed the white beast's gaze and found that because of the fight, the animal tooth pendant on its neck was exposed. Luli had an idea. He swung his Heaven Kylan sword to the side and smashed away several stone rats. He did not attack the small white beast. Whoosh! At this moment, the small white beast suddenly moved. It turned into a white shadow, and it was so fast. Luli only saw a flash of white light. The small white beast had sneaked into the small jute bag on his back. PS, announcing a new book group. The old monster was in the group. Eternal Dragon Emperor Readers Exchange Group, 2946656090. Chapter 36. Squeak, squeak. The little white beast in the sack let out a soft cry, and the surrounding stone rats actually stopped attacking. Luli stood where he was with his saber in hand. His eyes flickered as he held the sack in one hand. He frowned and began to think. The little critter's speed was so fast, and after it called out, the stone rat actually stopped attacking? This meant that the little beast was definitely not a low-level profound beast. Only a high-level Xian beast could suppress a low-level Xian beast. If he brought it along and it suddenly attacked, he might be bitten to death. However, from the beginning to the end, the little white beast did not reveal the ferocious aura of a powerful Xian beast, nor did it show any hostility towards him. Instead, it looked at his beast tooth pendant with such an expression. From the looks of it, it clearly had a high level of intelligence. It entered the sack to follow him. Luli, we got the elixir. Let's go. Lu Yu shouted from the distance. Luli made up his mind and ran back, following Lu Yu and the others out of the cave. As soon as they got out of the cave, a powerful warrior of the Lu family was still worried. He raised his giant axe and continuously hacked at the cave, causing the mud and stones above to fall and block the small passage. Go! Lu Yu led everyone back. While running, he said to Luli, Luli, this mystical grass is very precious. If I am not mistaken, it should be the seven-leaved heaven cloud grass, a fifth-rank elixir. It is priceless. If it's true, we'll have made a great contribution this time. Each of us will get at least 1,000 contribution points. The other two were excited, but Luli didn't have much of an idea about contribution points. He was still thinking about the little critter in the gunny sack. He was wondering if he should bring this little white critter along. He casually replied to Lu Yu and deliberately slowed down. When they turned a corner, he quickly opened the sack and took a look when the three of them weren't paying attention. He was dumbfounded. That white little beast was actually sleeping soundly in his sack, just like a lazy kitten. It had just run away with a stranger, and it could immediately fall asleep? Luli was worried that this was the white beast in disguise, so he shook the jute bag. The white beast opened its eyes in a daze and looked at Luli. Instinctively, it was scared. Its hair and beard stretched out and its mane stood up. It looked like a lion cub. However, when it saw the animal tooth pendant on Luli's neck, its eyes turned into crescent moons. It wagged its tail and begged Luli, "Damn, what kind of Xian beast is this? Why does it look like a house dog?" Luli was speechless. Looking at the flattering eyes, he made up his mind, closed the jute bag and walked forward. He caught up with Lu Yu and the others and went back to where Lu Yi was. Lu Yu explained the situation and handed the 7 leaves spiritual grass to Elder Hong. The latter looked at it for a while and said with certainty, "This is indeed the 7 leaves skycloud grass, a 5th-grade spiritual herb. It's a pity that it's too small. Luli, you have made a great contribution this time. When you go back, you will become an official guest warrior. Your merits will also be converted into contribution points." "Thank you, Elder Hong." Although Mr. Hong was only a deacon of the Lu family's external clan, he had been in the Lu family for decades and had a high status. Since he said so, there should be no problem. The wolf pack outside had not retreated yet, so Elder Hong ordered everyone to enter the depths of the cave. This way, the human aura would not be as strong, and the wolf pack might retreat. Once inside, the stone rats dared not to come out and attack anymore. The tunnel was still blocked. Elder Hong signaled everyone to stop. He sent Lu Yu and another warrior to explore the remaining 2 tunnels. With the help of the dim light, he looked at Lu Yi and said, "Lady, this is not normal. So many wolf kings have come out. This time, our family has suffered a great loss. Isn't there a powerful warrior guarding the other side of the valley?" "I don't know." In the dim cave, Lu Yi looked terrible. She had brought 300 warriors back to the Lu family, and there were hundreds of warriors in the original camp. Judging from the situation this time, there were less than 100 warriors that could escape. If Patriarch Kai was killed, then the Lu family would suffer a great loss. She frowned and thought for a while before she said, "The valley should be guarded by powerful warriors of the big families in turns. I wonder which family is guarding it this time? If nothing happened, then they are trying to set us up on purpose." Set up? Luli thought of something. Could it be the warriors of the Zhao family or Diba? If it were Diba, it would be easy to understand why they sent some wolf kings over to trap and kill Luli. Of course, it was pointless to let his imagination run wild here. Whether or not someone was trying to set them up could only be known after investigation. They were not really out of danger yet. They had to break out of the encirclement and go back to the county or wait for powerful warriors to come to their aid. The Wolf King was a 2nd-rank Xian beast. Anyone below the Spirit Sea realm would definitely die if they encountered it. If they encountered the Wolf King, there was a 90% chance that they would all die. Lu Yu and Patriarch Kai came back from exploring, but they did not find anything. They had to cultivate and wait in the dark cave. Luli sat in a corner with his legs crossed. At first, he was worried about the small beast. He quietly opened the jute bag and vaguely saw that the small beast was sleeping again. Then he went straight into meditation to cultivate. Boom, boom, boom. Not knowing how much time had passed, the sky should have been bright by now. Suddenly, there came a sound of the ground shaking. Elder Hong opened his eyes and shouted to Lu Yu, "Lu Yu, go and have a look." Lu Yu ran away and came back after the time for one incense stick to burn. He said in a deep voice, "They are on our side." I heard Brother Wu's voice. Lu Wu. He was the chief commander of the Silver Wolf escorts, the most powerful escort leader of the Lu family. Everyone was excited. They all rushed outside. As expected, they could hear Lu Wu's angry roar and the howls of the silver wolves. "Lu Li, break the entrance!" Lu Yi shouted. Lu Li tied the jute bag to his back, lifted his Heaven Kailan's sword, and hacked at the entrance. The boulders outside were smashed away. It was really bright outside. A team of Silver Wolf escorts was fighting with the Iron Spur Wolf. Everyone was overjoyed to see the familiar face of Lu Wu. "Lady." Lu Wu was relieved to see Lu Yi. More than half of the Iron Spur Wolves gathered outside were killed. Lu Yu rushed over on his Silver Wolf and said with joy, "Lady, you are well. I can put my mind at ease now." Lu Yi's eyes reddened. She looked at Lu Wu and asked, "How are Patriarch Kai and the others?" Dead Lu Wu's eyes were filled with anger. He clenched his teeth and said, "The Zhao family let out the 3 Wolf Kings on purpose. Patriarch Kai was bitten to death by the Wolf King. At least 500 men of the family died in battle. Chief Patriarch has gone to the super families to ask for an explanation. If the super families don't help us, then we will leave the frigid Cloud Mountain alone." Zhao family. Lu Yi, Patriarch Hong and the others were filled with grief and indignation. Lu Li's face looked awful. As far as he was concerned, it must be Di Ba who instigated the Zhao family to kill him. Lu Li felt guilty that so many people had died. "Lady." Lu Wu thought about it and said, "Chief Patriarch asked all the regular warriors to go back to the county to wait for orders. This time, the super families won't help us. When we go back, we will wipe out the Zhao family. You go back now. The 3 Wolf Kings have been killed. Many of the wolves have been killed. The way back is safe." "Yes, wipe out the Zhao family." Lu Yi and the others showed killing intent in their eyes. Lu Wu went back to attack the wolves. When all the wolves nearby were killed, he ran back with dozens of Silver Wolf escorts to continue to kill the remaining wolves and rescue the surviving warriors of the Lu family. "Go back!" Lu Yi shouted in grief and led the others down the mountain. Lu Li followed her in silence. He was still a bit uneasy, afraid that Lu Yi would vent her anger on him. "P.S. I was just passing by, but I missed it. How about collecting one?" Chapter 37. Lu Li thought too much. The Zhao family and the Lu family had been in conflict recently. Lu Yi and the others did not associate it with Di Ba. They just kept running in silence. At the foot of the mountain, they found some horses that had escaped. They ran all the way back to the county without stopping. By the time they got back to the Lu family, it was already midnight. Lu Yi went to the backyard angrily. Patriarch Hong asked Lu Li to go back to rest and left in a hurry. Back at the guest clan, Lu Li went into his own yard. Lu Ling was reading a book with a lamp in her room. She was surprised to see Lu Li come back. She thought of something and asked, "Did something happen?" Theoretically speaking, Lu Li should have finished his task quickly after he went to the frigid Cloud Mountain. It would take him at least a few days to come back. However, he had only been gone for 2 days. Lu Ling saw Lu Li covered in blood. She was smart enough to tell that something serious had happened. Lu Li took a big gulp of water and told her what happened from beginning to end. He also told her his speculation. Lu Ling was filled with murderous intent after she heard everything. She said in a cold voice, "Even if Di Ba was not the mastermind, he must have something to do with it. Lu Li, when you have the chance, you must get to the bottom of this. If Di Ba did it, kill his entire family." Lu Li was not in the mood to think about something so far away. He thought of the white beast in the jute bag. He looked around and helped Lu Ling into the room. Then he opened the jute bag, pointed to the sleeping white beast and said, "Sis, what is this beast? Do you know it?" Lu Ling looked at it carefully. Lu Li told her about his encounter with the beast. Lu Ling shook her head and said, "I don't know. There are some descriptions of powerful Xian beasts in the books my father left me, but there is no such Xian beast. Maybe it is because this Xian beast is too small and it is not fully grown yet?" It was dark in the cave, so Lu Li did not see the beast clearly. Now that he looked at it carefully in the candlelight, he felt that the beast was extraordinary. The beast had snow-white fur, soft and beautiful. Not a single strand of hair was out of place. Its head was like a cat's, but there was a short and beautiful mane on its head. It looked like a lion cub. Inside the mane, there were two small black horns that had not grown out yet, so they were covered by the mane. The claws of the beast were very beautiful. They were white and shiny, reflecting cold light. They must be very sharp. Lu Li was secretly shocked when he thought about the speed of the beast. If he was scratched by this beast, he might lose a piece of his flesh. Lu Ling frowned and asked, "You said the beast was staring at your animal tooth pendant?" His eyes were filled with fear, but also a little hot. Lu Li nodded and then added, "Sis, this animal tooth pendant of mine can glow. When I was making the healing ointment, the animal tooth pendant glowed, and it was flickering. Also, the wounds on my body healed very quickly. There is such a thing." Lu Ling raised her eyebrows and looked at the animal tooth pendant. She nodded and said, "It seems that this animal tooth pendant is indeed a treasure. This little beast is willing to follow you because of the animal tooth pendant. Father put the animal tooth on you when you were born, so he should know the origin of the animal tooth." Treasure? Lu Li stared at the animal tooth pendant and observed it carefully. However, he did not find anything special about it. It was just an average animal tooth, only as thick as a little finger. Theoretically speaking, it should not be the tooth of a powerful Xian beast. The more powerful the Xian beast, the larger its size would be. You can't reveal this beast tooth of yours in the future. Lu Ling turned around and walked into the room. She took out a small black bag and handed it to Lu Li. "Put the animal tooth pendant in this bag and hide it under your clothes. Don't let anyone see it." Squeak, squeak, right at that moment the white little beast suddenly opened its eyes. It stared at the animal tooth pendant and kept making strange noises. Its eyes were filled with fear, but its eyes were sparkling. It seemed that it was longing for something. It really is because of the animal tooth pendant. What kind of Xian beast does this animal tooth pendant belong to? Lu Li was surprised. It was a pity that his father was missing and nobody told him about the origin of the animal tooth pendant. Lu Li thought about it and put the animal tooth pendant back into the small bag. He even stretched out the black string of the necklace and hid it in his clothes. Now that the animal tooth pendant was hidden, the little beast quieted down. It looked around with curiosity and circled around Lu Li while wagging its short tail. However, the way it looked at Lu Ling was very cold, completely different from how it treated Lu Li. Lu Li! Lu Ling did not mind at all. Instead, she said to Lu Li with excitement, "This little beast might be of the third rank. But it is not long since it was born. You must take good care of it. It will be a great help to you in the future." The white little beast was just born, but it already had the speed of a warrior of the spirit sea realm. What would it be like when it grew up? Also, the spiritual intelligence of this white little beast was very high. Xian beasts of low ranks could not be this intelligent. It was very likely that it was of the third rank. Xian beasts of the third rank were more powerful than warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Once it grew up, it would be a piece of cake for it to fight against regular warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Xian beast of the third rank. Lu Li was secretly delighted. Xian beasts could be tamed. For example, the silver wolf escorts of the Lu family. The silver wolves they rode on were tamed since they were little. They were as fast as the wind and their combat abilities were comparable to Xian beasts of the first rank. Little guy, come here. Lu Li bent over and reached out his hand. The white little beast jumped onto Lu Li's hand affectionately. The little beast was too small, only the size of a fist. At this moment it was looking up at Lu Li in a fawning manner, just like a cute kitten, very adorable. Lu Li reached out his hand and gently stroked the mane of the little beast. The little beast closed its eyes comfortably and soon fell asleep in Lu Li's hand again. You are all white. I will call you Little White then. Lu Li had taken a liking to this little beast. He left it in the corner and turned around to take a bath to wash off the blood on his body. When he finished his bath, there was a knock on the door. The chief steward of the guest clan sent someone to deliver food. He also brought a message from Ching Chu, asking Lu Li to have a good rest and talk about other matters the next day. Lu Li enjoyed his meal. After he was full, he thought of the little beast. He picked it up and put it on the table. Pointing to the little beast that had opened its eyes, he said, Little White, are you hungry? Eat something, whatever you like. Lu Ling sat on the side and looked at the little beast with a smile. The dinner sent by the Lu family today was very sumptuous with a lot of meat. The little beast should like it, right? Squeak, squeak. The little beast glanced at it and shook its head with disdain. It had no intention of eating at all. Lu Li and Lu Ling looked at each other. Both were surprised. If the little beast did not eat meat, did it eat grass? Lu Li got up and went out to find some carrots and cabbage for the little beast. The little beast was even more disdainful. It jumped off the table and went back to sleep in the corner. It doesn't eat anything? Lu Li blinked his eyes in confusion and looked at Lu Ling. The latter thought about it and said, Maybe this little beast is of a higher rank, so the food it eats is special. Tomorrow we will find something else for it to try. It is late at night. You should go to bed early. Okay. Lu Li got up reluctantly. After some thoughts, he carried the little beast back to his room. Even though the little beast behaved well in all aspects, what if its bestial nature broke out and hurt Lu Ling? Putting the little beast in his room, Lu Li cultivated with his legs crossed for half the night before falling asleep. Crack, crack, at dawn, Lu Li was awakened by a strange sound. He suddenly sat up and looked towards the source of the sound. After a glance, his hair stood on end. His eyes were wide open, as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Chapter 38. The Heaven Kailan Sword was an Earth-grade Xian artifact. Even if it was broken, the material was very special. Lu Li had killed so many iron spur wolves, but there was not a single chip or scratch on it. The hardness of the Heaven Kailan Sword was evident. Now, this little white beast was gnawing on the Heaven Kailan Sword? Lu Li thought he was dreaming. He pinched his thigh to make sure he was not dreaming. Then he jumped up and shouted, Little White, stop, no, stop! Little White saw that Lu Li had woken up. It wagged its tail and trotted over to please him. Lu Li picked up the Heaven Kailan Sword and was relieved to see that only a small piece was gnawed off. This broken sword was very important to him now. It could increase his fighting capacity. Squeak, squeak, the door was pushed open. Lu Ling had already gotten up. She looked at Lu Li in confusion and asked, What are you yelling for so early in the morning? Sis, look. Lu Li waved the Heaven Kailan Sword, pointed at Little White and said, Little White has gnawed on a corner of the Heaven Kailan Sword. Lu Ling was surprised. She and Lu Li looked at Little White that was still wagging its tail and begging for mercy. They both felt they were looking at a dreadful beast. This little thing could gnaw on the Heaven Kailan Sword. If it bit someone's neck or head, that person would lose his life immediately. It really is a high-level Xian beast. Lu Ling's eyes lit up. She said at once, Lu Li, didn't you say you got some contribution points? Later, go find Ching Chu and then go to the Hall of Weapons to exchange for the broken Xian artifact. Whatever Little White wants to eat, just give it. As long as it can grow up quickly, it can even eat the entire Heaven Kylan sword. So what if it was a broken saber? As long as Little White could grow up, it would be a very powerful help. Okay. Of course, Luli understood. He put the Heaven Kylan sword on his back, got up and went to wash up. He had some breakfast hastily. Before he went to find Ching Chu, the latter had come to him. Luli, you have successfully completed the mission. Now you are an official guest warrior of the Lu family. Ching Chu handed over a white token. He pointed to it and said, "Try to use your Xian energy. It records the contribution points you got at the frigid cloud mountain." Luli mobilized his Xian energy. The word guest lit up on the white token, followed by a row of numbers. Ching Chu explained with some envy, "Luli, this time you found a 5th-rank mystical herb. You are the one who made the most contribution, so you got 1,100 contribution points. Also, you fought valiantly. Miss E and Elder Hong have already reported it to the family and awarded you 300 contribution points. Kid, you're not bad. You've just joined the family and you've already gotten over 1,000 contribution points. Others wouldn't be able to accumulate that much even after 1 or 2 years. Luli nodded to himself. Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong did not lie to him. They converted the 7-leafed heaven cloud grass into contribution points and gave it to him. He thought about it and asked, "What can I get with contribution points?" "Anything can be exchanged." Ching Chu explained, "As long as you have enough contribution points, you can buy the Delong tribe. I remember that a tribe costs 100,000 contribution points. In other words, if you have 100,000 contribution points, you can ask your family to help you become the chief of the Delong tribe." Ching Chu then added, "Profound armaments, pills, profound skills, cultivation manuals, spirit materials, and even the position of Hall Master can be exchanged. For example, as long as you have 10,000 contribution points, you can exchange for my position." Luli said that he did not dare to do so. Ching Chu then warned him to stay in the guest clan for the time being, and not to leave the Lu family. The Zhao family and the Lu family might go to war. An internal clan patriarch of the Lu family had already given the order to be ready for war with the Zhao family at any time. Of course, Luli would not go out for no reason. He was eager to cultivate in the guest clan for a while. He was confident that he could reach the peak of the Xian Wu realm easily. After Ching Chu left, Luli looked at Lu Ling and asked, "Sis, what should I do with the contribution points? Should I exchange them for some Xian skills? A real Xian artifact? Should I just give the Heaven Kylan sword to Little White?" "No," Lu Ling said decisively. "Lu Li, low-level Xian skills don't mean much apart from being pretty and fancy. You might as well continue to exchange for some high-level pellets that can increase strength. I don't think you need to exchange for Xian artifacts for the time being. Just help Little White get some abandoned Xian artifact." High-level pellets of strength type? Luli was not stupid. He immediately understood what Lu Ling meant. At the frigid cloud mountain, he saw many warriors of the Xian Wu realm with fancy Xian skills, but they were not as powerful as his. He even had the confidence to wound warriors at the later stage of the Xian Wu realm. Absolute strength can crush all fancy Xian skills. Luli took Little White and left the guest clan. He threw Little White into the jute bag. Little White was a Xian beast of high rank. If someone coveted it, it would be a big trouble. Luli asked someone about the Hall of Pellets and went into a big attic. He showed his token and asked an old man guarding the Hall of Pellets that can increase strength? The old man explained. Luli felt his heart ache. There were 3 kinds of pellets that could increase strength in the Lu family. The first was the body refinement pellet, the lowest level pellet. It was very cheap, 5 contribution points for 1 pellet. Luli still had some with him. The second one was the blood refinement pellet of the 5th rank of the human grade. Its efficacy was several times stronger than the body refinement pellet, but one pellet cost 30 contribution points. The last one was the blood refinement pellet of the first rank of the Earth grade. However, Luli could not get even one pellet with his contribution points. Pellets, Xian artifacts, secret manuals were all divided into 3 ranks at the Northern Desert: Heaven, Earth, and Human. One rank had 9 ranks. For a third-rank family like the Lu family, the highest level of weapons, pellets and secret manuals could only be of the Earth grade. Luli thought about it, made up his mind and said, "Help me get 20 blood refinement pellets." "Young man." The old man thought about it and explained, "Pellets for body refinement pellets will not be as effective if you take too many of them. You are going to get 20 pellets at one time. More than half of them will be wasted. Also, Xian energy and realm are the foundation of a warrior's cultivation. Physical strength is not of much significance." Luli understood what the old man said, but he still insisted on the blood refinement pellet. The old man had no choice but to help him get 20 blood refinement pellet. Then he watched Luli leave as if he was an idiot. Luli walked a few steps and arrived at the Hall of Weapons. Patriarch he was still guarding here. When Patriarch he saw Luli, he frowned. But when Luli took out his token, Patriarch he was surprised. He asked in confusion, "Kid, it has only been a few days. Where did you get so many contribution points?" Luli grinned and explained casually. He cupped his fists and said, "Lord, I want to go to the same place as last time to get some abandoned Xian artifacts." Abandoned Xian artifacts? Patriarch he looked at Luli as if he was an idiot. Why were Xian artifacts so precious? They could increase a warrior's fighting capacity. Abandoned Xian artifacts were not Xian artifacts anymore. What was the use of them? Didn't Luli already have a Heaven Kylan sword? Luli didn't explain. Patriarch he opened the door to the attic, waved his hand and said, "Go in. Bring out whatever you like." It was full of abandoned Xian artifacts. Patriarch he didn't even bother to go in. He asked Luli to go in and look around. Luli did start to look around after he went in, but he was just pretending. After Patriarch he entered the main hall of the Hall of Weapons. Luli let Little White out of the jute bag. He pointed to the abandoned Xian artifacts on the ground and said, "Little White, which ones do you like? Just choose." Squeak, squeak, Little White's eyes lit up. It grabbed a broken dagger with its 2 paws and was about to gnaw on it. Luli stopped it in a hurry. He picked up the dagger and asked Little White to keep looking. Chapter 39. P.S. Don't rush to play after you finish reading. Remember to vote for the monthly ticket first. From now on, you can enjoy double monthly ticket for the fan festival. You can also have a look at other activities where you can get red envelopes. Little White didn't eat all the weapons. It wandered around for a while and grabbed another broken sword. Luli followed it all the way and picked up more than a dozen weapons. Little White didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pointing here and there. Its little eyes were burning with eagerness. Soon, Luli picked up more than 20 broken weapons. He asked Little White to go into the jute bag. Little White was indeed intelligent. It listened to Luli's words and sneaked into the jute bag. "What do you want so many broken weapons for?" When Luli walked into the hall with more than 20 broken swords and sabers in his arms, Patriarch he looked at him suspiciously and asked. Luli had an idea. He grinned and said, "I want to learn how to refine artifacts." Patriarch he rolled his eyes. Was it so easy to learn how to refine artifacts? There were only 3 artifact refiners in the Lu family, and they were all of low rank. They could only refine Xian artifacts of the human grade. This silly kid wanted to learn how to refine artifacts with some broken Xian artifacts. He didn't want to waste time with Luli. He looked over the weapons and estimated. All of them are human-grade Xian artifacts. 5 of them are Xian artifacts of the 8th rank of the human grade. Let's convert them into 500 contribution points. 500 contribution points. Lu Li had 1,400 contribution points in total. He used up 1,100 in one go. He felt a bit of heartache, but thinking of Little White, he made up his mind and handed over the token. Patriarch, he deducted 500 contribution points. Lu Li's token only showed 300 contribution points. Lu Li went back to the guest clan with a pile of broken Xian artifacts in his arms. Many warriors of the Lu family were looking at him like he was a freak. Lu Li went into his room, threw the broken Xian artifacts in the corner, let Little White out and said with a grin, "Eat. Eat whatever you want." Squeak, squeak, Little White shouted excitedly and pounced on the weapons. Under Lu Li's shocked gaze, Little White ate up a dagger in a few bites. Little White only ate the blade of the dagger, not the hilt. What's more, Little White was still not satisfied. It pounced on a dagger. Could this be a Ci beast? Lu Ling walked in with an ancient book in her hands. After a while, she shook her head and said, "According to the book, the Ci iron beast has the body of a giant ox. It has big horns on its head and its body is as black as charcoal. It feeds on iron and its excrement is as hard as steel. This little beast is too small, and it's covered in white fur. It doesn't look like a Ci iron beast." "It's not a Ci iron beast." Lu Li came over and took a look. He said with certainty, "The Ci iron beast is a Xian beast of the 5th rank. The higher the rank and the more powerful the Xian beast is, the bigger its body will be. Even if it was just born, it would still be comparable to a fierce tiger, right? Little White is so small, how could it be a 5th rank Xian beast?" Lu Ling knew it was impossible. Even if a powerful Xian beast was just born, it would not be so small. After Little White finished eating the 2 weapons, it found a corner, curled up, and fell asleep. Lu Ling didn't care anymore. She told Lu Li to cultivate first, so that he could be more powerful, so that he could face the bloodline awakening in a few days. Cultivate and refine the blood refining pill. Lu Li excitedly took out a blood refining pill and swallowed it directly. Soon, a warm current spread throughout his body. Lu Li waited quietly. He realized that the blood refining pill was indeed more powerful than the body refinement pill. He felt like his blood was boiling. But he had consumed 5 body refinement pills in one go before, so he could bear this temperature. He waited until the temperature stopped increasing. When he felt that he could bear it, he looked at his chest. Buzzing, as expected, the animal tooth pendant started to glow. But it was covered by the black bag, so the glow was very weak. Lu Li thought about it and took off the black bag to examine the animal tooth pendant. Lu Ling told him how the animal tooth pendant glowed when he consumed the body refinement pills. Lu Li was even more amazed now. The animal tooth pendant was indeed a rare treasure. It seemed that it could help the body absorb the efficacy of the pills. The animal tooth pendant glowed for more than 2 hours. The temperature started to decrease. Lu Li felt sleepy. He climbed onto the bed and had a good sleep. It really is a Xian pellet of the 5th rank of the human grade. I have gained at least 2,000 pounds of strength. After he woke up, Lu Li casually tested his strength and was overjoyed. He had 20 blood refining pills. Even if the efficacy of the later ones weakened, it seemed that he could gain at least 10,000 to 20,000 pounds of strength. When he reached the peak of the Xian Wu realm, he could gain another 10,000 pounds of strength when he used the Xian energy. By then, his fighting capacity would definitely soar. Cultivate, cultivate. Lu Li was even more excited. He paid no attention to what was going on outside. Guest warriors usually did not go out on missions, and nobody cared about them. He had enough time to cultivate. There were more than 10 days before the bloodline awakening. Lu Li wanted to use this time to open up all his energy channels and consume all the blood refining pills. Lu Li and Lu Ling were not paying attention to what was going on outside. But the Lu family was in chaos outside. Everyone in the internal clan and outer clan of the Lu family were indignant. Many people were clamoring to kill their way into the Zhao family and wipe them out. Several patriarchs of the internal clan were suppressing the Lu family people. The Lu family had gone through great changes recently. This time, many warriors of the Lu family had died in the battle at the frigid cloud mountain. On the other hand, the family patriarch of the Zhao family had made a breakthrough, and he had successfully established a relationship with a big family. Nobody knew what would happen if there was a conflict between the Lu family and the Zhao family. The Lu family was holding the coffin carrying ceremony because the Lu family had gone through great changes. The Lu family patriarch was seriously injured by a powerful Xian beast. He was still in a coma, and it was possible that he would never wake up. Currently, all the affairs of the Lu family were managed by the chief patriarch who was at the frigid cloud mountain. He was looking for other big families to help him make a decision and denounce the Zhao family. Naturally, the county of Lu family could not be in chaos first. Because of what happened at the frigid cloud mountain, the atmosphere in the county of Lu family was tense and tense. There were still 3 second-rank families in the county of Lu family that restricted their people. Usually, they were not allowed to step into their families to avoid being involved in the conflicts between the Lu family and the Zhao family. The Lu family had suffered great losses. Now that the Zhao family had established a relationship with a big family, the structure of the Wu Ling county could be changed. If the other small families made one wrong move, they could fall into the abyss. Time flew by. Soon, 6 days had passed. Lu Li had been staying in the guest clan to cultivate his Xian energy, to open up his energy channels, and to consume the blood refinement pellet. 10 days was not a long time, but Lu Li's progress was obvious. He had consumed all 20 blood refinement pellet. At first, he would consume 1 pellet at a time, but later on, he could consume 3 or 4 pellets at a time. The process was fast. He consumed the remaining body refinement pellets as well. At the moment, his physical strength had increased by more than 17,000 pounds. Including his original strength, his physical strength had reached nearly 15,000 pounds. 15,000 pounds of strength. In terms of physical strength alone, with the help of the Xian energy, Lu Li had already surpassed the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm. He could barely be compared to the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Of course, in terms of comprehensive fighting capacity, Lu Li could not be compared with a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. After all, it was extremely difficult to make a breakthrough in any realm. After a breakthrough, one's fighting capacity would increase by several times. A warrior's fighting capacity was not only about physical strength. Speed, reaction ability, defensive power, the density of Xian energy, high-level Xian skills, and so on would all have an impact on one's fighting capacity. Lu Li had opened up 8 energy channels and reached the later stage of the Xian Wu realm. He was only 4 energy channels away from the peak of the Xian Wu realm. Once he condensed the Spirit Sea, he could break through to the next realm. It seemed that the remaining 4 energy channels could not be opened up without more than half a month. The more advanced one was, the more difficult it would be to cultivate. This was a truth that had never changed since ancient times. Martial arts cultivation was to go against nature. How could nature be so easy to go against? Tomorrow is the end of half a month. Lu Li stopped cultivating and decided to have a good sleep today. He would wake up early tomorrow morning and go to the temple to awaken his bloodline. Bloodline awakening. Lu Li was very excited when he thought of this. Lu Ling said that he would definitely awaken a powerful bloodline, and that she would tell him everything after that. Bloodline warriors were the most powerful warriors of the northern desert. Once Lu Li succeeded in awakening a powerful bloodline, his strength would change drastically, and his status in the Lu family would become transcendent. Chapter 40. So many days had passed, but there was no news from the frigid cloud mountain. Those who went to ask for instructions from the chief patriarch only received an order to be patient. The depressing atmosphere in the county eased up a bit. However, when the warriors of the Lu family and the Zhao family ran into each other, they would still glare at each other angrily, insulting and ridiculing each other. There were several times when a conflict almost broke out. Lu Li did not know what was going on outside. He slept soundly and got up early in the morning. He saw that Little White was sleeping again. He shook his head helplessly. The little beast had eaten 7 or 8 weapons recently. It would sleep after eating and eat again when it woke up. Lu Li left all the abandoned Xian artifact there for it to eat and did not mind it. After breakfast, Lu Li looked at Lu Ling and said, "Sis, I am going to the temple." "Okay." Lu Ling nodded with a smile. "Remember this. Don't panic no matter what happens. If it is a powerful bloodline that has been awakened, don't pay attention to any solicitations. Come back first." "I will remember." Lu Li carried the Heaven Kylan sword on his back and walked out in strides. After he left the west gate, he took a detour to the south gate. The temple was in the plaza to the south of the south gate. At the south gate, he found that the south gate of the Lu family was wide open. A team of Silver Wolf escorts gathered here, including Patriarch Hong and Lu Yu. Lu Li. Patriarch Hong was familiar with Lu Li. He greeted Lu Li with a smile from the distance. Lu Yu looked at Lu Li more kindly now. The rest of the Silver Wolf escorts nodded to show their respect. Lu Li cupped his fists with a smile. Patriarch Hong asked with concern, "Where are you going so early in the morning? It is not peaceful in the county lately. You better not go out of the family." Lu Li thought about it and decided to tell the truth. After today, the Lu family would value him more. He explained, "Half a month ago, I pushed open the gate of the temple. Today, I am going to try my luck." Patriarch Hong and the others looked at Lu Li with new eyes. At least, there was hope for him to awaken his bloodline if he could push open the gate of the temple. Bloodline warriors were the most powerful warriors of the entire northern desert. Any warrior who could awaken a high-level bloodline would be destined to become an overlord and look down upon all heroes as long as he did not die prematurely. "Wait here," Old Hong said. "We will also go to the Divine Temple." This time, 8 children from our family pushed open the doors of the Divine Temple. "Later on, you will follow us to the Divine Temple." "Okay." Lu Li nodded. Following the warriors of the Lu family would guarantee his safety. There would be no accident. After a while, Missy came out riding on her silver wolf with a few children. There were 5 boys and 3 girls, and they were led by a few men. Their faces were flushed and they were very excited. "Lu Li, why are you here?" When Lu Yi saw Lu Li, she asked. Patriarch Hong explained. Lu Yi's eyes lit up. Lu Li's physique was so abnormal that he could push open the gate of the temple. Could he really awaken his bloodline? "Let's go." It was still too early to say anything. In recent years, thousands of people had entered the Divine Temple every year, but not a single one of them had awakened their bloodline. Not even a first-grade or second-grade low-grade bloodline could be awakened. The group of people slowly walked towards the Godly Temple. When they got close to the Godly Temple, Lu Yi and the others' expressions changed. Killing intent rose from their bodies as they glared at a group of people not far away. People of the Zhao family. Lu Li glanced over and found a group of warriors in cyan armors. Lu Li's expressions turned cold. It seemed that some children of the Zhao family were also going to enter the temple. Among the warriors stood 10 boys. All of them were flushed with excitement. Not far away there were some other people, disciples of big families. There were more than 40 children in total. All those who came to awaken their bloodlines were 6 years old. Only Lu Li was 15. The temple would open the bloodline altar on the same day every month. Anyone who could push open the gate of the temple could go in and awaken their bloodline. Today, they were here to escort the disciples of the families to awaken their bloodlines. Lu Yi and the warriors of the Zhao family restrained themselves. There was no conflict. Everyone waited quietly. After an hour, the gate of the temple was finally opened. Anyone who can push open the gate of the temple can come in and awaken their bloodline. But there must be no more than 3 people accompanying them. The black-robed old man said coldly. Lu Yi, Patriarch Hong and Lu Yu walked towards the temple with the children. Lu Yi nodded to Lu Li who followed them. 3 warriors from the other families walked out and led the team into the temple. Everyone behaved themselves after they entered the temple. Nobody dared to act rashly. Acting rashly in the temple would only bring disaster to one's own family. The temple was not big. It was dim inside. Candles were lit on the ancient walls. They entered a spacious hall with a huge altar in the middle. There were all kinds of mysterious patterns and runes on the altar. They were complicated and abstruse to the extreme. Lu Li was dazzled just by looking at them. At the moment, there were 3 men in black robes standing by the altar. They were all covered in black robes. Only half of their skinny faces could be seen. Nobody dared to say anything after they came in. They all stood on the empty ground to the south of the altar in silence. After a while, an old man said, 5 at a time. Sit on the altar with your legs crossed and get rid of all distracting thoughts. Don't panic if there are any unusual movements. The awakening ceremony will not hurt you. An old man of the Zhao family waved his hand. 5 children walked into the altar. The children must have been told beforehand. They didn't move around after they entered. They just sat with their legs crossed with their eyes closed. Activate the bloodline altar. An old man of the temple shouted in a deep voice. The hands of the 3 old men lit up with Xian energy. The Xian energy actually left their bodies and shot into the altar. External release of Xian energy. Soul Pond Realm. Lu Li was shocked. He didn't know much about cultivation, but it didn't mean that he didn't know that external release of Xian energy was a sign of the Soul Pond Realm. There were 3 powerful warriors of the Soul Pond Realm in this small temple. The Xian Wu Realm was the sign of a first-rank family, the Spirit Sea Realm was the sign of a second-rank family, and a warrior of the Soul Pond Realm was the sign of a third-rank family. Families and forces at the northern desert had a clear hierarchy. The hierarchy was simple. It was how many powerful warriors the family had. A family with 3 warriors of the Xian Wu realm could be a first-rank family or force. For example, the Dilong tribe could be a first-rank force. A family with 3 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm could be a second-rank family or force, such as the Zhao family, the Lu family, and several other families in the city. A family with 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm could be a third-rank family or force. There was only one third-rank family in the Wu Ling County, the Lu family. The Lu family had 3 powerful warriors of the Soul Pond realm. 3 warriors of the Fate Wheel realm could be a 4th-rank family. 3 warriors of the Eternal realm could be a 5th-rank royal family. The 3 most powerful families at the northern desert were 5th-rank royal families. Buzzing, as the 3 old men of the temple kept pouring out Xian energy, the altar suddenly glowed, which attracted Lu Li's attention. He stopped thinking about it and looked at the altar carefully. Unfortunately, the altar was getting brighter and brighter. It was so bright that Lu Li could not look at it directly. Not only him, but Lu Yi and the others also turned their heads around or closed their eyes, waiting for the awakening ceremony to end quietly. The 3 old men of the temple stopped pouring out Xian energy. They closed their eyes and sat with their legs crossed. Every awakening ceremony would take an hour. If someone could awaken his bloodline, the altar would shake. However, the altar hadn't shaken for many years. Sure enough, after an hour, the glow of the altar died down and everything went back to normal. From the beginning to the end, the altar didn't shake at all. It meant that none of the 5 people that entered had awakened their bloodline. The old man of the Zhao family looked a bit upset. He waved his hand to let the 5 children out and then brought the other 5 into the altar. Then he cupped his fists and said to the 3 old men of the temple, "Thank you, my lords." The 3 old men opened their eyes without saying anything. They just released their Xian energy and activated the bloodline altar again. Buzzing. The white glow of the altar was glaring like the sun. Luli and the others closed their eyes or turned their heads around again, waiting quietly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.